I just got a new mic and camera. I was blessed with by my son uh, for the holidays here. So, and I just want you to know that I also face not just technical challenges that are completely legit in this case, but also uh, I also get faced with demonic um, attacks daily. So just to let you all know, just as the Lord is using all of us to witness to other people about His existence and the concern He has for Mother Earth and the condition of our souls and His flock that is increasing. Excuse me. Praise the good Lord, our heavenly Creator Yahweh, Yeshua Mashiach, and the shield of faith, the sword, which again, I want to point out, be a good host and hostess. It's not about Bible thumping. It's about simply just wanting to have a relationship with our Father. And it's not even so much um, uh, uh, that we um, indulge ourselves with just um, hours of reading the Word. Although that would be great if you're led to. Just for me, what works, I pray first thing, seek ye first the kingdom, and ask the Lord to guide me that day and make sure that the Holy Spirit is still secure in me, and humanity shall not live on bread alone. So be a good host. Feed, in my case, feed the Holy Spirit the Word, and it's a process, just a daily process, and then the movement of the Holy Spirit through the exercising that in which I have been feeding my carnal flesh that is at battle with my spiritual uh, uh, host, uh, guest. I being the host and you being the hostess if you're a female. And thank you, Lord, for all our females. So, again, I'd like to also thank again my brother, cousin Forrest. He sent me a picture of us on his boat, and I really had a good time because that's one of uh, very few times that I have been actually sober, and it was a nice thing to be reminded of. Um, and also something that I just realized is that my dad, who, like I said, my one of my best friends, mentors, protector, um, provider, and all of that, Fred Rima, um, who was also so very near and dear to my heart. Also, Fred Rogers, which some of you might even have picked this up. You see, some of you might already know a lot of things that I'm just starting to realize. Like I mentioned earlier, and I don't know if it was in because I don't go back and review the videos, um, just for a second, and then, but um, that the blessings that the Lord is not only doing through us, um, uh, and in everybody else's individual lives as they exercise faith and listen to our testimonies and word of mouth, and then the exercise of what it is that they're saying, because like I've said before, it actually is the opposite. People have heard enough. It's like when your actions line up, when you start walking and there's something different about the way you carry yourself, the way you hold yourself, you conduct yourself, and the integrity and and boldness that you come, although loving, kind, and humble. People see that and then they want to hear why. Well, you know, I don't always see the fruits of my labor producing the way that I might think I should, considering everything that's going on. But the Lord reminded me just this morning, just like when I woke up and sent that song, uh, it reminded me of Millie, but also Tori. That she's amazing just the way she is. So all these things, these blessed things that even though we don't see the direct result of our faith manifesting itself, even in other people's lives, like Tori said on Tour Says, she said that, she's noticing other people's growth. She noticed this one in particular person she was referring to, maybe using it as an illustration. Didn't matter. I was picking up what she was laying down. And uh, I completely identify with that because a lot of times we don't see our own progression and growth in the spirit, which will also cause our flesh to start to do some things that are more noble and more honorable, and things that you might want to feel comfortable resting under. When someone like that says something, you know that they're going to show up, and if not, you might want to check out the obituaries, or they mean what they say, and they know, they're not going to lie to you, even if they might be mistaken. Then they'll humbly correct themselves and then make the correction. My point, I guess, is I don't, and had got discouraged because I hadn't seen myself, my own progression. Although I've seen a bunch of miracles, I'm like, wow, I know you're other people have. And that's why the Lord had used exactly what the enemy had set out to destroy me, or even from the beginning, the system, in my case, to destroy me. And this message and the intent and motive that this is going to produce has produced. And so I just want you to know that, and I apologize, I'm going to get a tripod here. I'm just still figuring stuff out. That I use the illustration about the neighbor's dog, about when you don't see another alive and living creature being nurtured, the growth, the person that's actually nurturing you, they notice it, but not like somebody that's from afar, and you go, wow, what are you feeding that thing? Well, the word, not Bible thumping, the word, and wash it down with, and just walk. It finds its point of least resistance. It crashes when it needs to, is humble, and becomes, just like Tori said, she's right, just like Millie said. And I bet, and I'm going to repeat this for those of you that didn't, and like I said, I didn't go back and examine it, so I don't know if you got this in the first, second, the one you could hear or not. Pardon me. So Millie said, and I repeat, I believe she said, it's salvation is standing right next to you. Eternity is. And see, how do you know that that wasn't true for those of you that doubt? Huh? How do you know that? How do you know that's exactly and precisely what that hedge around that evil little conglomerate of cesspool of sin just is festering? Thank you, conglomerate. Thank you, Father. See, I don't give up too damn easy. And because of that, I don't even feel uncomfortable with that. And you shouldn't either. If you got something to say, say it. They can't kill the messenger. Like I said, the intent and frequency of it, frequency is increasing, but the intent, I mean, the frequency The frequency is increasing, but the intensity is losing its luster, people, because our frequency and intensity is being exercised and increasing through our faith. So all this growth that we don't see in ourselves, like Tor said, just like Millie said, it's right next to us. And how we carry ourselves through the um, being a good host or hostess of the Holy Spirit. Like I said, we're a conduit, a vehicle, a vessel, an instrument of one or two spirits. People will see that and they'll want that. And don't be afraid. Like I said, I guarantee, and I don't find myself making too many promises, because my most honest service I could offer you, the listener and the observer and the experiencer, because you're on this journey. It's our story. Is the truth. That's the most honest service I could offer you, is the truth. And Millie said, and you don't know who's standing next to you. Our our redemption draws nigh. There's a lot more going on than you might think. Don't be afraid to get out there underneath that sunlight, which they're trying to put out, by the way, and I have to be very cautious on what and how I say things. I also have to get a trim on both sides. I got a piece that's just dangling here, but I got another one that's starting here. I was checking out that picture. I say that because um, I'm able to see myself, from another perspective, although I can look in the mirror. And I noticed from the picture my brother Forrest sent me yesterday how, I really don't look that bad with. It's just I've been led to grow this hair that I was very irritated with getting it to a certain stage where I could even put it back. So, but that's a whole nother thing. So Millie hit it right on the head. You don't know who you're entertaining. You have no clue. And that's exactly precisely how eternity is going to uh, it's happening right now. It's upon us. See, and that's the thing. The enemy knows the time is short. And just as when the demons recognized Yeshua and asked him, what would you have to do with us before our time? And he cast them right into the swine. They recognized him. That's why John 3:16, it's a beautiful scripture verse. Don't get me wrong. But it's also, for me personally, it almost cost me my carnal life and my eternal soul, because of the way it was implemented and the way that I went away understanding it. Now, is that the pastor's fault or mine? Well, I'm going to have to say his, because I'm under his tutelage. And he made it real clear, to the point where I stood up, and I'm sure I embarrassed a few family members of mine. But what did Yeshua say? Well, who is my mother? Who is my brother? Now, he had no issue again with his kin that were knocking, but he let it go for a reason. They said, aren't you going to get it, Messiah? Aren't you going to get that, teacher? It's your mother, it's your brother. And he said, who is my mother? Who is my brother? It's those that do the will of my Father. And we know in Revelation twice, pardon me, we know in Revelation twice exactly what sustains the holy ones. And again, those that keep the commandments of God and their faith in Yeshua. And what did Millie say? That's how it's coming. And when I mean it, I don't mean it. I mean is, was, and will be. The wit in it. So, and she was right, and so was Tor. So was Tori on Tor Says. You don't really notice, so don't give up, and don't think that you're the most smallest, insignificant testimony, which is really a seed. And at this point, and at this stage, when you implement that in faith and stand out and do things like even this, you really aren't even carnally comfortable doing, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and people will see it and they'll want that. They'll want to touch the heat, the light they see in your eyes. That's why I uploaded those videos, is because the Lord said, you upload those videos. Even though the audio wasn't correct, show them the passion that I instill in you by the submission of your flesh in the morning. That's how I maintain my faithful commitment to my earthly bride, because she is my eternal helpmate. People don't realize that. And even if it's not who I have been fighting for, and even longer than she might, well, she may even know, the Lord has someone for all of us, or no one at all. It's not finding the right person, it's becoming that right person. And it starts on our knees, it starts humbling ourselves, because quite frankly, every knee will bow and tongue confess. The thing is we willfully do it today because we look out the window, and even though Mother Earth, she is in the disarray she's in, we have faith and we fight for her. She's ours. When you look out there and you see what they're doing, and to destroy those that destroy the earth, it's in Revelations. What's the second part of that confirmation I was just mentioning? And the dragon went off to wage war. Well, you don't have to be a biblical scholar or a theologian if you just pick it up. It's not even about being a Bible thumper. Matter of fact, it's completely the opposite. Now, that would have got me, even though, I had my own way to, if I, and not bragging, and I wrote in on, because my brother has been doing this a lot more recent than I have. I still, that's not what it's all about. That's exactly what will turn people that are hungry for the truth away, is religion. It's that Einstein, Darwinian, moon cheese, Green Mile mockery. It's just tripe. Menudo. No offense, because I love the Mexican people. Like I said, I planted trees with these. They plant trees around us because, 10 foot off the 10 foot off. So you just get bumped off, as you do, as you do. And then, however many trees you get, you have tags on the bags. Usually you split a bag and you count them up at the end of the day. But I'm going to get off track, and I don't want to do that. But I have a couple really good stories about that. And in Toutle River, when I was really humping those mountains up there and planting those trees, and let's say just not being a good steward of Mother Earth and trying to get a few extra tags. But I just want you to know, like Millie was saying, we have to, and it's hard to love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. See, that's the thing. The enemy loves to get up here. You see, just like that pill popping Pelosi, they're mocking. It's not like you think. See, it's not keeping the head from the body at all. And those pearly gates, they're being built right here. When it says kingdom come, thy will be done, guess who that, how do you think that's going to manifest? That's right. Through you. Or not. We're all different parts of the same body. Look, it mocks us because it knows the time is short. Just like it said, hey, what would you have to do with us before our time? It even recognizes, be careful about the John 3:16. beautiful, beautiful scripture verse it is. Nevertheless, applied. Remember, we have here, right here, twice. We have, and with the, right here, iffy, right here twice. We have if. The last three scripture verses of Revelations, the last three, a 1, a 2, a 3. Oh, the world is gonna know. Hmm? Oh, that was amazing too, baby. I just, like I said, I believe I'm right. Oh God, that would be the most awkward thing, wouldn't it? To go through all that and concentrate that in that way, but we still need to physically meet. Like I said, there's some things, and I know you, and I understand they might be blocking me here and there and doing this and that, but hey, man, you've been out there. There's a hedge around you. You know, there was a hedge from the beginning. You see, from the beginning, in the beginning. Where you told me you were drowned in. Don't read into this, baby. I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. I was there when I saw what you did. Saw it with my own two eyes. You can wipe out that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you kept me silent, so don't even fool me. And that song, just the way you are, when you smile, the whole world stops for a while. 'Cause you're amazing, just the way you are, the way you are. And I just got up in the middle of the night. I couldn't, and I apologize if this might be offending anybody, but I'll get over it. Um, yeah, crash. The boys' dream. Crash. Yes, crash. Yeah. So, thank you, Melly, again. She's right. She's right, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, hyenas and lionesses alike, prophetesses, wannabes and imposters alike. She's right, my beloved Millicent, if I'm understanding it correctly. Millie Faith Weaver. Wow, what a beautiful name. Tori. Yeah, that's right. Tori was right. You can see the growth in other people. Don't give up. Somebody's seeing it in you, and they're going to share it. It's going to give them courage and hope. Go out and get that sunlight they're trying so hard to keep from us. You know, like I said, it starts to break down that heaping pile. And farmers people that are around agriculture, they know exactly what I'm referring to. Light does beautiful things to things that are living, and just some real more amazing things to things that are dead because, you know, circle of life, right? It's just that we, us, have tapped into the main vine. We're not going to be cut off and thrown into the fire. No. Uh-uh. Nope. Or thrown into the pile and watched spontaneously kaboom. Mm-mm. No. Walk blindly to the light and reach out for his hand. Yeah, blessed union of souls. And again, I apologize if I offend anybody on some of the comments that I leave, but those I believe I'm leaving for my future spouse, one I worked so very hard for. You see, the enemy has stolen half a century from me. So I apologize, and especially for those that have wives themselves, beloved wives, and I use them to springboard off and kind of secret squirrel stuff. That's the only reason why I really have a Facebook. I would rather just call my friends on the phone or see them, but I've been led to use that, and thank the good Lord for that. That's why I don't. That's why I don't restrict it. You know, they're the only ones that do the restricting. So thanks again, Millie, and thank you, Tori. You're right. Don't give up, people. People, they're noticing it, and our heavenly Creator, he notices it too. The angels report. And once you tap in, once you're fully in, it's gonna go straight. It's gonna go straight. It's gonna descend like that beautiful incense and not be relayed. But the relay, hey, it's just like it doesn't matter when you start the race. Just start it. You're gonna get what you got coming. And if believe me, it's everything that the enemy has lied to you. Above as so below. Well, above is gonna be as so below. They want their cake and eat it too. And when that didn't suffice, they're just going to destroy her and steal as many of God's potential salvage souls as it can. But we rose up, people. We rose up and we wrestled with our heavenly King and cried out, and He heard us. And it didn't tickle. It did not. It wasn't a stench. It moved our heavenly Creator to allow us some triumphant, glorious, harmonious, symphonic time, perpetual in revision. And you people, some of you already know, Millie, she's, I'm so proud of her. Wow. Talk about other people growing and blossoming. Amazing. Boy, he never did deserve her. And the Lord uses the least likely, so He gets the glory, so He gets the credit. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand about our heavenly Creator. There's things, and I apologize again. It's just I'm like Dave. I think that's his name. I wasn't able to get his name. I think that's his name, Dave Roadrunner. Never had a hard time keeping him. The one that set out to disprove the existence of Yahweh, our heavenly Creator, and found himself pleasantly in love with the reason why you see this in my eyes for you people, and that I fought so hard. And when I share our story in the entirety, its totality, you're going to see just how much our Heavenly Creator, how valuable, how much He loves each and every one of you, and how valuable each and every one of you are. And especially in this time that we're in right now, you have so much to offer the person right next to you. Did you hear her? She prayed. I'm certain she prayed. I'm certain the Lord heard her. And even though it might have sounded one way to her, Millie, faith sent that out. And that blending, that weaving of that vertical loom, the remnant are being tapified. It's going to be a glorious garment, seamless, really. And it's coming through us. And your intervening for other people, not only in testimony, but in prayer. You're ushering in salvation. See, as long as you have the Spirit of truth in you, you'll always be a good host and a good hostess. Because you'll know. It'll let you know, I need substance. If you invited me into your house, again, if you invited me into your home, you got it all ready for me to come over. And I sat down. I thought, wow, you've done a really great place with this. This isn't what it used to be. It's completely transformed and changed. A renewing of your willingness. But even if I wanted to stay and I really liked this now swept, kept in order place, if you didn't offer me substance, after a while I'd get hungry and then I'd have to go. See, that's what people don't understand, and they're not going to teach this to you. And they got a silver tongue, and it sounds good, and it'll look good from some standpoints. But once you are in the divine, discerning light and glorious hand of God, Yahweh, our Creator, you're going to start to receive this message in a way that you may never have before, and because this is alive and living, it's sharper than any two-edged sword. There go me glasses. But we sharpen it on each other. We can't glorify each other, ourselves, and it says not to do that. I don't know where, but I know it's on the tablet in me hat. In your hat? No, he's in me hat. Grab that hat. Oh, baby, I can't wait. You see, it's not perversion. It's not, no, not when it's your wife. People don't get that. It's not good for man to be alone. It's not good. Don't think your testimony is insignificant. Don't think. The Lord will reconfigure your words if need be. You'll hear it. You may even hear it one way. She may have heard it, Millie. Faith, she's the Lord is using her to weave and blend and build a hedge and protect. You see? What a beautiful thing. Did you see what almost came in on her? The same things that the Lord had sent me there to expose, address, And then so this is reaping what we sow, alive and living, illustrated for you in the flesh in its entirety. And it's coming through you. She said it, Millie. I know it might seem like she said it in the spirit. She said it, and people heard it, and it didn't like that. It knew. It knew that prayer, like the little prayer of Jabez that moves mountains. Oh, that you would bless me indeed. Oh, heavenly Abba. That you would enlarge our territory and keep us from evil and causing evil. Oh, Father. Huh? And she stood out. She stood out on faith. You think that's a coincidence? You think it's a coincidence my dad's name, my best friend? Well, now, second or third to none. Fred Rima. It's the same as Fred Rogers. And I found a lot of pleasure in watching Fred. Matter of fact, I was able to, because a lot of real twisted things were happening to me that I haven't even shared with you yet. Things that were going on also. You're thinking, well, could it get any worse, Roy? Oh, it got a lot worse for little Donnie Steen. So it'll get better for you, for him, for us, for her, Mother Earth. She's going to be restored to her original dominion. Well, you told me you were drowning. I used to be a little boy. Killer in you as a killer in me. Or you can reverse it like it does. The killer in me as a killer in you. My love, my love. Send a smile over you. Killer in me as a killer in you. Killer in me as a killer in you. Crash. Yeah, little boy's dream. And there'll be more to come, the Lord willing. Suffering for some reason, my life it seemed out of season, mocking my days with misguided ways, filling my ears with whispers and fears, flooding my eyes, 'tis concealing all of their lies. Repent of your sin, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Repent of your sin. Stumbling I do today, far and few, seeking the King, death. Where is your sting? Thank you very much, Millie. I really, really appreciate that faith walk you made. That right there, people. That's why I leave those messages. And until I find out different in March. It's been March. It's been a March. It's It's been a march for whom the Lord led me to come to the great belief, and pun intended, overboard was an understatement. And as I realized, as they educated me, Patrick Swayze, I mean, Kurt Russell sung that song, um, She's Like the Wind, and it's those very same things that we wrestle with, the Lord, and it can completely may manifest itself it completely different than what I first thought, and I'm learning this is how the Lord can work that way, because the free will, it has to be, it's just like the instant with the Holy Spirit, when two flesh become one and they're not in the spirit and they are not in union and uh, ordained, sanctified, uh, harmonious in their matrimony. That's as far as east is to the west. That is not to be messed with. That's an instant departure of the Holy Spirit. If you want to know, so, and again, I'm not led to say anything else. The ones that don't lead to death, they will, because the wages of sin, that's a case by case basis. He made that very clear to me. There's some other things that I really want to say, and my palm is itching. I hope I get this tort claim, because even though the Lord showed me in a vision with the RVs and buses back in '06 that were going to be used, that's another thing they're trying to scare you with all that. And walking in Memphis, walking with my feet in feet. Do you really feel the way I feel? So, got gospel in the air. So, when you got a prayer in Memphis, when it starts, man, it's hard to stop it, and it's amazing. But there'll be plenty of time for that. Don't be afraid, people, to go outside. Like I said, and this correlates with the Memphis thing. Consider the timing. Consider all of it. The intensity and frequency not only is increasing on our side for the good because of the exercising of faith, like I said, but the frequency is increasing on its side, but the intensity is losing its luster. And I don't mean that in a bad way, the wink of the eye, because, oh God, look what he did. He held up an oh, look what he did. Oh, he's got a $1 billion smile. He's got a Luciferian loose tooth. Look. Oh, dear. I always like the howls. Oh, gosh. Man is an island. Gilligan, you silly fool. And to think they had batteries. How long are them batteries going to last? And see, that's what Satan wants. He just, even they don't know. But I've seen that. I've got a taste of it in it. Sulfur. Don't think your testimony is insignificant. Now, I want to thank my brother Forrest again for sending me that lovely picture of us on the boat. We're at Seward Park, just right off the crack-ridden, prostitute-infested, just senseless death. Just lead exchange nonsense. That coke is what separated our love. And I digress, because I'm trying to get more than just, a half a dozen, or a dozen, I would say now. I think I'm up to 11 almost. 11. I'm going to have to switch the next one to 11 now that I got this rolling episodes. So we're off Seward Park there in Rainier, Lake Washington camping, and I really appreciate, bro, you sending me that. Like I mentioned before, you always have been a really even in the dysfunction that you and I both were kind of tossed in and drug through. My Oscar has more than a first name, but so I appreciate you, bro, and I understand and I get it, and that was a reminder, and I need them once in a while, just like the Lord reminded me today that hey, and like He does every day. That's why it's so hard sometimes to fight the good fight when they've restricted our. That's why they're working so hard. It's working so hard and has to keep us separate. Can you imagine what happened if we could embrace and hold and hug? Well, we were going to eventually. And it's fixing to heat up for it. See, we know something it don't know. That's right. We know a bunch it don't know. So anyway, I appreciate you guys sticking it out, and I just want to mention again Forest, and let's see, I wrote a few things down because in my haste and then just dodging of and dancing through the Satan's daily little. It's like I play a hopscotch some days. I play this sick, twisted game of. Well, I digress. So yeah, I'll take it when I can get it. So there's a few other things I wanted to mention. Let's see. Blessing and I wanted to mention Bethel, the church Bethel, and I know I'm kind of hopping around a little bit, and I believe I mentioned the miracle I witnessed uh, right in front of my eyes when the county sheriff was looking for a bunch of them were looking for my son that had supposedly stole a tire that he found in the garbage. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I do want to tie in that whole story. It's just amazing how the Lord is blending us, kind of weaving us like that vertical loom. And no, it's not a dream, Weaver. This is real. It's not a matrix. This is actually happening, and we own everything. When I said you own everything you see, naturally you own, I meant that. And so had to get a little a thorn of the rose, and that I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. See, the Lord also, the canvas can do more than miracles, especially when you have us at the easel. We got them magic brushes, you see. It's panicking, people. Get excited. Get happy. Sing. It doesn't matter if you think you can sing or not. I said the Lord it's a joyful noise. Just like, and again, I'm not trying to get perverse, so if you're having an issue with it, I'll get over it. But our lovemaking, there's a reason why He makes that so special between a husband and a wife. And a lot of people, it becomes their slave. That's not everything's going to be restored to its original dominion. All of them, yes. All dogs go to heaven. It's all over in the Word. And so then some might say, well, what about Roy? You said sin and humanity equal iffy. That's right. But when you're discerning, when you have complete discernment through the anointing of the Holy Spirit, and that's a daily process, then you're gonna pick up what it is that the Lord is laying down for you, and that's all it is. It's all it is. It's becoming a living example that we have a Creator, and He's here living through you. That's what it is. There is no more penis circumcision. That's a Jewish. That's a law. We're not under that anymore. It's a circumcision of the heart. No longer were we under the. We are water. We're gonna everything natural. It's all gonna be restored to its original dominion. They don't want you to know that. They want you to they want you to worship the Son. Like I said, where my degenerate uh, uh, five of the foolish of the 10 of us virgins from Ireland, you see, and start worshiping the Son. Of course, Lucifer, he's that dragon, he's a wily one. And so anyway, again, I want to get at least 12 in without getting completely nipped. So legitimately, we figured out we were doing a few things incorrect with the mic, but also the enemy is so slick. So know that it can take as long as it's a natural form, it can take that a natural form. And when you're staring at some people that you think, and you look in their eyes and you see something that almost looks like you're back in the land of the lost, and it's a slee stack hissing in your ear, and you're trying to build a fire, and you're wondering why the one pissing over your shoulder is now no longer your friend, you see, and you start making a few changes. Because what's the definition of insanity? Oh, merry go round and round. There's that counterclockwise. That's right. If you want something different, you got to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So you gotta change something. People will see it, and just like Tori says, other people will see growth too, and they see growth in me, and I see growth in you, and the one that it really matters to sees growth in you and other people around you, and they're seeking the same thing. You may not see it, and it's not for you to. We Like the Lord says, the farmer goes along, and I think I brushed over this. The farmer, he tills the soil, plants a seed, but even he doesn't know how it grows. So, and love makes little things grow. So does sunlight. By the way, they're trying to X-nay on the old sun. Well, they're going to need sunscreen, all right. Things are fixing to heat up for them. But good news to us, beloved. See, once you tap into that main vine, you understand you're pruning. That's just the stuff, the dross that comes to the top. That gets thrown that's in a heap, and it'll spontaneously combust because that sun they're trying to, right? It does exactly what it's designed to do. It breaks down and puts right back in circle of life, right back into Mother Earth. It's all just one big circle of life, but it'll have you believe something different. It wants your head so far, right? The dragon, the dragon became angry, went off to wage war. Well, and so we fight or not, and so. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good holiday, and my grandson, he had a blast. It was really fun. He should be coming home pretty soon. My son's picked up quite a bit of the slack, which is really nice because you know taking care of his dog while he's away at work, and Butterboy, which is the last of mine that I'm led to get. You know, I've been now the Lord has me. I can't leave him with just anybody. They're not going to love him the way, even if they love him. I know, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's like my children. Even when I had my head up my own, I couldn't leave them with anybody. I couldn't risk having happen to them what happened to me, right? Not on my watch. No. So I'm not getting any more animals unless the Lord leads me to. and then I will, and I kind of might even have seen that in it, but I won't go into detail right now because we just need to get through this right here. So I might need to quit doing this now because people are like, oh God, look at now. I think he's been doing this for a total of he, Rain Man. He hit me and this many times. I'm this tall, and you have to be at least this tall, little Donnie, to ride, right? And so we'll see March 20th if I got that new bike. But the Lord provides. So I'm not no harm, no foul, and all is well. But boy, again, that was absolutely just mind blowing. I never even knew that was possible. So I'd never even quite ever taken a bath like that in my whole entirety. So so that was just, for lack of a better, amazing. Just the way you are. Girl, you're amazing. Just the way you are. The way you are. So, yeah. Anyway, I get out. It seems like I'm getting off track, but I've learned that's not the case at all. I'm precisely exactly where we're supposed to be. At least I'd like to tell myself that. And so until I get the memo, we'll just go with that, right? So that way it's just easier to continue to go with that. With that. With or without. And I want to say again, Lionel, I love you very much. And Lynn, and God, thank you so much for what you're doing for us children. Because I used to be a little boy. And in some ways, I'm going backwards. I'm a Toys R Us kid in a good way. No, and that Toys R Us money, I'm cashing in. I'm cashing in, baby. You guys know it. So thank the good Lord every day, Yahweh, Abba, our Heavenly Father. It's been kind of rainy here, hunting. Of course, I didn't fill my tag. I had so much fun while I was over there. I almost believe I wasn't. Well, of course, I wasn't led to, or I would have, but I was led to go over there, but I wasn't. I guess I wasn't meant to get one this year. I seen a lot of sign. I sure fed a lot of elk and probably a lot of bear, but boy, just being over in Mother Nature just kept me in tune, considering everything. So in that sense, I slayed them. I was slaying them. Oh, Redfern ain't got nothing on these 4 foot green ferns over here. They grow big. They're monsters. Just in the smell, it's just so the whole thing being over there with there's natural springs, and it's really neat. It's amazing, just the way it is. And I hope, like the barrier reef, when I'm ready to snorkel it, it's still there the way I'm afraid it's right here, people. She's crying out. This is the gut. This is Mother Earth. This is her gut. And that's the only reason I drink that Bragg's with the mother in it, is for my gut, because I was led to, and then I eat my charcoal because the Lord led me to. And I've seen what it's done to my livestock when they've had infections and stuff. It's just amazing what just something as simple as charcoal will do in a poultice. So the Lord's like, put it in your body, son. Get it inside you. You know. So I did, and I started to notice a difference. And man, I had pain that, man, it would floor me. My kids was like, Dad, what's wrong? I'm like, man, I got it. if pain that was so excruciating. It was like, and like I said, I keep very well uh, good. I'm when it comes to hygiene and my teeth, I maintain good hygienic. But my breath was stinking, and every dentist I went to said, "Man, we don't know what it is." And like I mentioned, that little Asian dude, wow, said it's not in your mouth, dude. It's in your gut. And that's when I got the, well, without surgery, well, without a biopsy, from what I'm seeing, what I've seen before, you don't have much time to live. Remember, my grandma used to eat all that fat at Royal Fork. When I used to go through the hog slop that they would give us, the butter tabs and all that stuff, it's in that fat. It's what they're putting. It's what's going into that stuff. It's all what's going into that meat. And the Lord introduced me to those Adventists. And even though I don't agree with, now I've come to some other stuff I love, and still the Lord allowed me, and that's a whole nother miracle. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, that I found out when I was on God's Way, this private road that was just named by this religious guy, pastor, preacher, that, oh, your guys are gonna be like, well, at this point, Roy, of the story, we're not surprised by anything, but please tell, please. So, and if I find out that this isn't getting, I'll try the camera and see what the audio, how it goes with the camera, people, because I love you guys that much. That's why I keep plugging away at this. Of course, I'm not wearing the same shirt a few days in a row. I'm just plugging away because I love you guys. That's why I've maintained my sobriety this long, because you're not going to be able to. You won't be able to rely on my help. I won't be husband material or protection like material if I'm drunk or smoked out on something or watching pornography or some stupid shit, or at the casino, right? Trying to beat him out on something, and the Lord saying, listen, son. And I'm wondering why, when I cried out for God, he said, oh, son, you're never going to be able to, like a dog return. This ain't going to work for you. And I'd like to mention that too, why it would seem like I'm getting off track. It's a dangerous thing, beautiful thing, once you really, really, truly, once you start to really understand, then it's a beautiful thing. Then you're excited to wake up each and every day. But at first, I forgot where I was going with this. It's just, this will happen now and again, and then I might get right back on track. So, without being tripped up, I am going to start with heading back to Walla Walla. Tammy now, because I call Peter Tallhofer, the only one that answered a collect call from me, the angel, the ex-officer, police officer that was made a warrant officer, that came and got me, the angel that prayed over me. Bless his soul. So anyway, she moves out. She goes and has Donnie just. I think I might even have mentioned this, but I'll just to make sure, to tie in them loose ends, to kind of get that ready for the loom, right? That vertical, and then we walk true, plumb true. So she had Donnie, and I was by then I had already got I think I got 14 months that time. Yeah, because this was my second time back. I got 14 months for that burglary when I touched the glass. Remember, because of the big hoopla, they no longer were doing fingerprints, just on violent crimes and stuff. And I was already so I didn't do any of that stuff, so it didn't matter to me. So I grabbed the glass. I knew I shouldn't have. So they just went ahead and just spent the extra buck because they already had me. Oh, I forgot to add this. I forgot to see, and this is why it is so important for me to get what would seem off track so that I can wind us back around. So while I did touch that glass and had this impression not to, and did, I had all these people, me and my cousin Tommy Schwartz, and he would allow me to use this. That's why I'm doing this. The Schwartz family, my beloved family, whom I already know are going to be viewing this if haven't already. We had the car loaded up, and remember I said we were also doing birds right there on Burien, Lake Burien, and I got to be careful on one of the ones that I invaded. That may God forgive me on all of them, which He has. So the enemy can't use that. This is just simply an illustration for how far down the hole you can fall when you're falling with a shovel and digging it as you go. So we have the car loaded. We get pulled over. Now it's a cop that knows us because the detectives, King County detectives, they all know me, and so they pull us over, and the officer comes up, very polite, and says, "You know why I pulled you over?" And well, there's no telling. It probably has nothing to do with all this equipment that is just IKEA stacked on this little car. It might as well be a Chevy Citation at this point because of all the quote coincidences. But it wasn't. I think it was a Pacer or something. Something you wouldn't want to really be seen, caught driving unless you were doing a burglary. That probably wasn't very tasteful. It might not go over well, but like I said, I'll get over it. He says, "No, I pulled you over because your tab is out by 1 day. It was out by one day. $1. For $1, I make you holler. For two, you make me holler." I used to say that at the flea market. I'm getting ahead of myself. And don't read into that, baby, because I never sold my body, never bought sex. I said 3 hours she wanted to spend with me, and I'm not. God, I wish I would have lifted my head up when the Lord said it. That damn car wash where He hosed out my beloved brother's blood. Look up. It's like, Tammy, go, get off that exit. And now look. So here we are. He says, "Well, what do we have here? So I'm going to assume you guys are moving or something, huh?" He says. He's almost laughing. He knows that all this stuff in this vehicle, this doesn't seem like it's focusing. He knows. He's knowing already just by who he's pulling over that this stuff is not ours. So he pulls everything out of the vehicle and he runs it, and it comes back clean because, of course, it's not even 66 minutes hot. It's it's not even had time. It's like a steaming pile of right, which I don't even let smolder out in my time. I'm a good steward. I get that. If it can be done now, do it. It's like sand in my eye. So he runs all the stuff, and he goes, "Well, it's all coming back clean, but I just know, I just have this sick gut feeling that all this stuff, it's stolen." And he holds up a cord, and the cord, one of them's like this. Of course, that wouldn't have nothing to do with yanking the out of. I mean, come on, this guy is not dumb. Blessed heart, his heart. He's been doing this a while. So he says, "Here's what I'm going to do, fellas. I'm going to take all this your goodies here. Because of course he said you guys were probably moving, right? We're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We were moving. He's like, uh-huh. It was almost like he was helping us. It was the weirdest thing. So he says, I'm going to take this stuff with me back to the station. And he says, I'm going to hold on to it until, let's give it till 7. He says, if we don't get a report by 7 that this stuff is stolen, you guys are free to come get it. And of course, he probably wasn't going to pay for our gas or pick up the bus token, right? Excuse me. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you got a deal, sir. Now we aren't driving the vehicle because the tab's bad and no insurance or nothing. But he didn't even give us a ticket for none of that. He didn't give, and I'm pissed. Oh God, I'm so angry. How could you miss something? What are you, Miss Swiss? What are you drinking, man? Are you serious? You didn't, we're out doing burglaries and you didn't notice, Einstein, that the tab is bad? Oh, you fool. He'd definitely been smoking way too much crack. Well, we both had. Otherwise, so not when we were doing any job. Can you imagine paying for an anxiety attack? And I'd never. No, I punished myself later on. So we're walking down the road, and the cop's still there doing his report, and we're walking down the road. We're not even, serious. We're not even 3 blocks away from his house, because we were going to go do something there, and then we're going to go down to the pawn shop down in White Center. My bikers, and they ran a little deal down there, and I would fence my stuff through them sometimes. Just depend on how much they were offering me and at the time. So yeah. So we're walking down the road. We're 3 blocks away, and I'm like, oh, you stupid! I want to just chin check him, right? So we're walking, and I know that cop is still back there, and we're walking. We get around the corner, and I go, you fool! So that's how I end up getting down to my brothers. They were looking for me, and that's how they got to looking for me. If I didn't mention that before. So now I'm heading to Walla Walla, but praise the good Lord that I got a phone call on Christmas Day by none other than Peter Tallhofer. Oh, Peter, that little lizard, the Galactic Federation of Light. These people are reptilians, right? These people, they love to mock. It's just consider everything. Oh, there we go. There, it just focused in. That was pretty cool. So, or not, depending on, I guess, what. So, I'm heading to Walla Walla because that's my parent institution. But while in Shelton, let's see, did anything spectacular happen in Shelton? Okay, like I said, there's just nothing but evil. That place, boy. That's why they got a lot of. They do a lot of weird satanic crap, and I've always known that as a child, even before I got mixed up into the system, before they drew first blood, and I started acting out and being a product of what I was being shoveled. You know, you know what they feed mushrooms, right? So I'm heading back to Walla Walla. I can't remember of anything other than just the evil that, which I'll brush up on that. We'll end up blending that together again, where there's some pretty tragic stuff that happened while in the R units. But yeah, so I'm heading to Walla Walla. I get back. I think I even might have mentioned this, but again, I ended up getting socked up pretty good because I wasn't even out a whole year. I wasn't. It wasn't even a whole year. I'm out. I'm not out a whole year. Of course, where the head goes, the body follows. And I'd like to mention too, while in eight wing, it's not something I was in eight wing this time around too on this false imprisonment. So, but praise the good Lord, it just so happened to be for our benefit and his and counting. There was this counselor that I had, um, and they would see you periodically, and they were this particular counselor of mine. There was like I think two or three of them. I think there was three in eight wing back then, and there was cameras all on him, so they were protected, but they still put their lives at risk because there were some just really undesirables, a lot. I mean, there's a reason why we have prisons, or should have them. So she said to me one time, she looked at me, and they wouldn't see you that often, but just on occasional reviews and stuff, she said, "Mr. Steen, you don't belong here." And that was one of few times that I just broke down. I broke down, and this lady said to me, she goes, "I'd like to give you a hug, but," she says, "I can't." And she looked up like that. And of course, there's cameras everywhere. That lady made me feel human. The identity that, remember that less than zero for the people that had the old equalizers that had, plus one, plus two, and then it had negative zero. And I mean, I was down there. It was literally, it knew who I was becoming, and hit even before I did, and was using other people that were supposed to nurture me to kill me also. Really, look, I've been battling for you, baby, and you people for years. Yes, and the Lord, He's raising people up for such a time as this. And I know that saying might be getting a little, but it'll never be wore out. This is it. They're trying to keep us from embracing, from speaking. They don't want us sharpening our the word on each other. You see, because like I mentioned, we don't build ourselves up. We no, we build each other up. The Holy Spirit does it. We can't be having a good day all at one time. The Lord knows that. See, He walked amongst us. He knows. Yet He never sinned. Yet He was tempted just like we were, and just like He was. He is, was, and will be. Greater things than these you shall do. It's not the occasional sin. He's preparing us for that, which we're in the process of joining, blending together in this tapestry. Weaver, you just don't. You can't make this stuff up. Just like I right here, I had to write it down. I just realized that two people so very dear to me, and some of you might have already made the correlation. Like I said, you've made probably a lot of them that I haven't. It's not important. The important thing is that we're going the same place because we're serving the same Creator, and we're standing out and moving by faith, and not by necessarily by sight. But we still need to meet up before March 20th. Definitely, if not sooner, Millie Faith Weaver. But Fred Rogers and Fred Rima, my beloved Jewish dad, before I knew that Roy Donald Steen Jr. was my actual father, and all that stuff with Vietnam and all that. My mom was like, "How do you remember that? That was when we were in San Diego with your biological father before we got divorced." And of course, I had a whole nother side of the story. But then When I caught him off one time, called him Uncle Donnie so that he could, get the milk for free type thing. It wasn't free. He snapped. That, but just a lot of amazing things are taking place through us, all of us, and um, I'm being challenged as we speak every second of every day. Just know that this fight is not only first for Him. Seek ye first the kingdom. We're not conformed to this world. She's ours already. It's already been so corrupted. It's now what we're doing now is we're gaining as much as we can for the banquet feast so that we can get this restart going and live for eternity. Because it's not going to be, yes, it might be painful for some, but once you realize the truth, you're not even going to realize it. The Lord does things He has His ways of using His spiritual anesthesiology on our carnal, like it says, and it's not just some whitewashed scripture verse. The Word of God, indeed, the Word of God, not a God, the Son, the God. It's alive and living. It's sharper than any two-edged sword. See, it can cut both ways. It can like intent. It can either be for you or against you. Of course, we didn't go pick up that stuff down at the, why? Intent. And then so they already had me there. And when they found the glass, it was a no-brainer. They just held it up, seen the deal, and they got a 3 point, I think it was 3 point or whatever it was they needed. But you want to know? The good Lord cloaked me and Tammy and that baby. Well, he's a big boy now, because he wanted this conversation to take place. Cloaked me in his righteousness, even in my own ignorance, as I was running like Jonah. You was still using me, and was using me then, and cloaked me. That cop, we weren't arguing. That guy flying through that window the day before, always out making pictures, always out making scenes. He's always out the window when it comes to making dreams. It's all mixed up. It's all mixed up. She said to leave it to me. Everything will be alright. It just comes like that. There's a reason that my name didn't come up. We weren't arguing. We were trying to get out of there, and the Lord helped us. There's also a reason, because of my own actions, why I got pulled over, and that cop decided to do an NCIC on me, and ended up in Duluth and met that fella, flamboyant fella, which had I not stepped out on faith, in faith, by faith, for faith, and counting, I wouldn't have got that TV, that little black and white TV, and seen Entwai Demela, and it burned into my head like when I was watching that fool that did A Million Little Pieces. And I don't watch Oprah. And he even said, she's going to want you on her show. And I said, oh, right, that's hilarious. He said, but you don't go. Mm-mm. Because there's things I want you to know. And it's only going to be revealed to you through the submission of your obedient flesh, because you've been running amok, son. And I have a plan for you and all those that are within earshot and eyesight and spiritual awareness. You're going to draw people as they will draw people. That's what this is all about. This isn't to be bought, it's to be taught. Raise a child up in the way they should go, right? He goes after the one. He leaves 99 for the one. Why? Because the 99 are in train. Like it talks about in Job 38. who can control or guide a mother bear with her cubs? They're in train. They're following her. You know, they're following. So he goes after the one. And that one is so valuable because that one becomes many. And the more many become part of the overall perpetual brushstroke, because believe it or not, people, you are an intricate part of this big picture. That's why you were created. We're all given gifts and talents. People don't understand that. And some might say, well, I can't sing, I can't draw, I can't cast out demons, I can't heal people, I can't interpret a different language tongues. I'm not talking angelic tongues. I can't, I can't raise the dead. You don't know what it is you're becoming with that kind of mentality. Millie would have never stood out, I believe, and said what she said. It might have sounded one way to her, but it went in to the right ears exactly the way it was designed to. And that circumcision that was taking place in the hearts of those that would have otherwise been hardened, it received. That heart received her words. Now they're going to go away with that. That's why it comes like that. It's angry. And there's a hedge built for Millie Faith Weaver, for all of us that exercise that faith, that stand out and speak out and post. Her faith is in Yeshua, in Jesus. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of gods. Kingdom come, thine will be done. Right here, right now, and counting. So don't ever think your testimony or the smallest of uh, uh, um, kind gesture in the way of offering someone um, assistance with something that your flesh would normally not want to do. That's how you're going to know it's a test and not a temptation. Staring at alcohol, man, that's a temptation. It's not a test. God doesn't test with, he doesn't tempt people with evil. That's how you'll know, man. Excuse me, not man, but my beloved. That's how you're going to know. But if it's something your flesh doesn't want to do, like standing out like Millie did, like Tori's doing the things she does, getting up. I'm sure she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't want to get up that early. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing either way. Standing out, saying things that, maybe might not be so popular. So, but we see the growth in each other. It encourages us. It increases the fold, the flock, the banquet feast. She's ours anyway. Everything natural will be restored to its original dominion. Everything born of water, everything. Even the rocks are going to cry out. Donkey, rock, burning bush. Judas. He'll take that which isn't, make it as if it were. You just have to come to the realization of what is the temptation and test. And like I said, once you recognize that fleshly desire, even though it's okay to pine for it, it's another thing to let it conceive. It's okay to be tested or tempted. It's another thing to let it conceive. So you'll know when something is a test, and when you exercise a godly test, and you stand out in faith, and you do things that you normally wouldn't do, well, people are watching. There's always somebody watching. There's things are going in the book of recordings right now. That's why I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because I'll just start letting you know things that I want so much. With the Lord's like, son, not yet. And it's not a teaser. That's not it at all. For the same reason why there's things that he hasn't revealed about you and what he's doing in your life. The same reason why I'm not being revealed on what's happening in its entirety. There's an order of things, and I don't even have to know why. Today it's okay. I don't have to know why. I have faith. It's gonna come. I'm gonna know everything. It's all going in the book already. I own it all. So do you. Once you realize that, it's freaking out already. Don't you see what it's doing? Look what it's doing. It's flipping out. Smooth out. It's flipping out. It's trying hard to destroy her before people wake up, because where that head goes, if they can get it in your water, in your food, in your air, in your mind, through your ears, through your eyes, they can just keep you away from the truth. Well, you are the truth because you're created in God's image, right? But once people die for lack of knowledge, once you start seeking knowledge and you see it in other people's action, the way they path of least resistance, plumb true, there's that level, sea level. Oh, God, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. As the bottom falls out of the little circus joke they got there that goes around in the bottom. Come on, man, in there. You can't make that up. How old is that video? Huh? Like it or not. It's a dangerous thing and can be the most beautiful thing, and will be, once you open your mind for him and your heart to fall into the hands of the living God, because it can cut both ways. It'll help you and it'll hurt you. Kind of like when something you really care about, pardon me, runs out into traffic. So, heading to Walla Walla. Of course, I get checked up. Not from the neck up, though. They don't. That's one thing they don't do. They just beat you from the neck down, so you're bruised up real good. And like I said, I wasn't even out. I wasn't even out. Not even a year, because went in 90, 91 the first time. Assaulted the correction officer, which if I hadn't have done that, right, I would have been like there with my brother Scrappy. It's usually the other way around. He's usually the one in, but we were both, a little. It was our first time in, and even though we had cut our teeth on the dysfunction of the human meat market judicial system, sucking on that, because learn to say moo. This is happening to you. You can't make this up. Here I was the one that was heading to. They closed my custody. He went right to work release. Yeah, you don't even go to prison once you have all my sentences have been small like that, little, itty tiny one, poquito. It's not, I'm not trying to, minimize the severity of my conduct, but I would have went straight to work release. He went right from, once they process you in the Shelton R units, they figure out where you're going to go, and you figure we got a year and a day. Wait, did we get? Yeah, we got a year and a day. We were looking at 10 years. Remember, I told you that gun was on the bedpost. Bless that old man's heart. That's why they charged with the first degree right off the bat. But I don't want to get off track. Then ended up amending it down, because once the story came out, but God, gotta bless that lady's heart, boy. She was taking me for. She was going with me, and I still had the gun and the bag of jewelry in my bag. Bless her heart. So, yeah, I would have went right to work release. He went right there, because with a year and a day, you don't lose good time. You only do 7 months or some 6.5, 7 months. It's that repetitive crap. That's why they have the point system here in Washington. I got to be careful what I say. And in California, and they're trying to get that everywhere, just like in Portland, with what they're doing to our beloved children. There are children too, but oh no, Satan's gotta. He's trying. It's trying to do it all through, and you're seeing it come apart. Oh, nasty little witch! I knew an old lady. I don't even make this stuff. You think I would want to? Come on, man. I have respect for my elders, but then there's some people the Lord's like, son, and there's some things that I only want you to reveal to certain people at certain times. And of course, these damn things, they ain't going to be nowhere around when, go out in Mother Nature so we can speak. And don't, and all that red fern stuff. Oh, that's another thing. Oh, thank you, Lord. All that red fern bullshit about, excuse my language, about irradiation and all that stuff. Listen, don't believe the hype. They're wanting you to believe all this stuff is it's radiation and gamma and all this. Look, man, and the sun and all that. Stop. I'm not, and I don't even need to be. I'm just saying, don't. It's trying to scare you into thinking this fantasy land fallacy. Sure, they got stuff, but I'm letting you know right now, even if they did have stuff like that, and also we need you know what. Force this in your pipe. Even if we did, you don't think our Heavenly Father, huh? As He is right now? Now, I don't know. Like I said, I just live in the moment. It's been working for me so far. But again, I think it's March 20th is an extremely generous amount of time considering when she corrected me 3 years before or so, or not. So while I get my I get my little checkup. Everything's kind of running smooth. I think, oh yeah, I end up getting the dragon pattern started on my back. And I started selling weed. I started buying weed from Ladio, matter of fact, Ladio Ortiz, uh, um, um, Omar Hewitt's half cousin from White Swan, Mexican native. Omar was also there. Remember, I told you about the deal with Bear when I first got there. And I said, well, isn't this paperwork enough? That was the first time around. Well, the second time around, I started selling weed, and I was getting it through Ladio, and it was $50 a gram, but I was making about $100, and they, of course, they let you smoke. So, and I didn't, but I got all my roommates wanted me to roll their cigarettes. That's why I got really good at rolling. And so I would roll these little tiny, tiny little pinners joints, and I would sell those for a book of stamps, because a book of stamps you could have so many on your possession, and that was like currency. So a book of stamps I think was $5.80 back then. But that book of stamps I could send out to Tammy, who now went from the place where she moved from into the Tammy Rector's house, who now was with my brother Ron, and then had a baby, Anthony. Um, she went back to that house and ended up having the baby, Donnie, in Olympia, and then ended up not long after Peter got me back here. They had me processed pretty quick, and I was back to my parent institution. So she had just moved to Walla Walla. She ended up moving back. She ended up moving to Walla Walla so I could see the baby. But the paperwork was so fresh, they couldn't let the baby in yet. So she would have this lady named Shirley hold the baby while she'd come in and visit, which is just completely insane. And you're going to understand why here real soon. So, beloved, keep an eye, and for the love of God, have some damn truth, logic, and common sense about who you are, or at least try to learn something about who you might be leaving your children with. So, which might add to the reason why it is, if there's any confusion of why she got rid of Justin, her first son. And I think they coerced her a little bit because, with like I said, with some counseling, I think she would have been a good mother. Yeah, it still can be. So they have no proof. They're waiting for the feet print so that he can come in and see me. I'm selling weed. I'm sending those book of stamps to her, and she's going to the post office. And because they're still attached and they're not used, she's getting face value for them. And so we're talking and visiting, and she says, she mentions, God, and here's what's crazy, okay? Now this might blow some of you away, but here she's in a town. She's actually staying at the shelter, the local shelter. She met this lady that was visiting another inmate. And while he was taking a break and having one of her other family members visit him, because you could do that, she was watching little Donnie. But my point of that is here she's in Walla Walla. She is giving money to somebody. It's called Street to Street, so that when the drugs that are in the institution once they'll even give it to me up front, because they're I mean, I'm not gonna. That's a death sentence, right? Now some people chance that shit, but there's a reason why they call that Blood Alley, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I'm not fitting to So she says, man, I'd sure like to. And I thought to myself, but I didn't want to waste any extra, mouth movements. Who knows who can read lips out there? They're watching you like a hawk because you got to sit when it's contact visiting, but look into it. I won't even bore you with the details, but it's strict. And that's not usually how things are passed, but I'm not going to go into detail there quite yet. But so that stuff is paid from street to street, and I just get it. It comes to me. So so she says, "Man, I wish I could find a little weed." Now again, I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you can't find any weed. But it dawned on me. Here I'm getting weed that she's paying for out there, street to street they call it, but she can't find any weed herself. Isn't that crazy crap or what? So I said to her, all right, sweetheart, check this out. And I only have one baby. So when people refer to me as baby, I might say sweetie and this and that, but I love you means something and baby means something. I don't really appreciate people. I had somebody try to fish me, at least I thought it was, and baby, and I'm like, I thought maybe I kind of might have known who it was, and maybe that was a secret squirrel way to communicate with me, but anyway, March 20th. So, like I said, it just comes. I don't plan this stuff out. And it's been working for me so far, baby. So I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna send you a joint, because I didn't want to bring it to the visiting, because she could have went out and took a break, and I could have went back and gotten, but they strip search you, and believe me, it ain't pleasant. Oh, some of them, you can tell they enjoy that stuff, right? And if they got a suspicion with your wife, she'll be squatting over a mirror. Think I'm kidding. And a lot of times they do that just out of kicks. They have guards that do things to other inmates' wives, and some of them it's a lie, and they get seduced and they just go and screw the Mark Twain quote. But some of them actually get brainwashed and threatened and say, if you don't sleep with me, I'm gonna hurt your old man. You remember when he was in isolation, which this is going to bring up some. Well, I had control of all that. Oh yeah, they get real crafty. So I said, you know what? I'm going to send you some weed. I'm going to send you some weed. So I end up sending her a joint in the mail. And I had a little personal thing going, kind of like the butter on the ceiling at Old Country Buffet, or Royal Fork, as it were. Your guys' Golden Corral, whatever. It's hog slop. Um, I had just rented the tattoo gun that I was going to finish. Dave Asher was doing this. The finished product looked good. They had to put it on 4 stages on my back. It was a lot of hours on just the outline. That back, that's a doozy with an E string, I tell you, man. And so I sent her out a joint in the mail. A day goes by. I come back to the house. They call them houses. They called them houses back then. Kind of personalized. That's why you never look into a house. You never know what's going on in there. And by the way, like I said, furthermore, Steen didn't know because he didn't want to know because he didn't have to know. Well, that's right. So Steen, you got a hall pass. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me unless I need to know. And that should serve you all some good justice. Anyway, so they bust in the cell, the house, the cops. I come back, the house is turned upside down. It's completely turned upside down. Of course, some of our family photos are in the toilet. They do that. Some of the real winners, for the same reason why a lot of these big corn-fed honkies, crackers, shave their head and pour soap on their floor and play games with the big boy corn-fed Walla Wallians. And it's World War III when they're drinking old Steen's Pruno. Boys just want to play. And so don't stop them. If they want to, like the old song says, there's boys are back in town and the blood will split. Don't stop them. You see, it just comes like that. You can't make this up. That's why some of them are real prick. But some of these boys, they don't play. See, some of these, they're in it to win it. That's why you never tell anybody your release date hangers. They could be your friend one minute. Next thing you know, man, they're pulling your tongue out through the cavity in your throat they just made. So, of course, that would be a death sentence for anybody that did that to little Steen because, I've been written, I'm not bragging, but that's what would have happened. Because I would never have called for I would have never, nothing would have ever, I would have never done nothing that would have ever called for that kind of treatment for me. Of course, poor guy Martin Hansen, right? Jesus. And the guy, seen him at Jubit's in Portland. I guarantee you know where that's at. Oh, man, you just can't make this stuff up. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself. So they got the room turned upside down. I got a write-up on my bed. There's still a few joints that are in the Q-tip. Q-tip, clean your ears. Here, you want a tip? You want a Q-tip? Here's one. We used to keep our joints in the Q-tip deal because they were so small and meager anyway. Because you only got a gram for $50. And when you needed to double your money, imagine how many books of stamps that was going to take. And I sold 1 stick for a book of stamps and then was able to send them out. So they would get lost in translation while the cops, we call them shit eaters, and for good reason, and I'll tell you later, not all of them. I'm still praying for a lot of you fools in there. And I'm going to be calling my counselor because he was friends with that lady that said, I want to give you a hug. Think I'm kidding. And he said, I think I remember. As a matter of fact, I know your record. I know of you. And I definitely know your brother. So, then of course, he's like, I know everybody. You're Hilliard, Minky, Lieutenant Dodd, Wesley Allen Dodd, Kevin Bianchi. I'm trying to get this to focus in. Anyway, so there's still a couple joints in the deal there in the this weekend. smoke our worries away because there's these major the hearings for these write-ups for the stuff. Day or two goes by, the hearing date comes up. Dave's got conjugal visits. He's doing 12 years for armed robberies, and he used to go over to Portland, do armed robberies, come back to Vancouver. Childhood friend of me and Scrappy, Bronny's. Known him for years. Come on, move into my room, Steen. Of course, they wanted me, and they had to stay in front of that bubble too. They, because I'm this, this little threat, which really, we all laughed about the whole thing. But when you do that to a cop, they don't play. That's a beacon of that's not good. That's like they start out pulling you over, and they come back. They come back in with a routine traffic stop. Get out of the car, and you're like, what were you doing? Walking. I'm getting off track. So here I am in the hearing. Lieutenant Minky. It's my turn. They all the my cellmates were in the holding cell, and they take one person at a time in front of the lieutenant, and it's my turn, and he's looking. Of course, they all kick back in that chair, just like the dude that I canned. And forgive me, I'm not bragging, but that cost me quite an ass whooping. It's an ass whooping. But do you think it taught me my lesson? Look, but listen real hard. Yes, it did. If you just listen, you'll know. My sheep know my voice. I can recognize God's voice. I can hear it. You can hear peace in someone, like I told Tor on the thing. You can hear it. You can sense it. You can feel it. If someone's kid looking at you all crazy, I'm like, God, my kids don't even look at me that way. What did you hand my son while I'm here going through the checkout aisle? It's an M&M or what? This has happened so many times, but again, so here I am in front of Minky. He said, Steen, he's going through the paper because he sees this is the day for hearings. He's hearing hundreds, well, probably 30 or 40 at least before lunch. And he's looking, he goes, well, Steen, I'll have to say, in the whole history of Walla Walla, he says, and you do realize how old Walla Walla is? I said, yes, sir. We're talking the mid to early 19th century, I believe, like 1830s, maybe 1850s. I don't know. It's old. In the whole history of Walla Walla, Mr. Steen, you're the only one I've ever heard of or know, and you are the laughing stock right now that's ever in the history, I repeat, that's ever smuggled any drugs out of the penitentiary. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, no. He goes, and do you want to know something? And I says, I'd love to, considering I know I'm fixing to go to probably isolation in 5 minutes. So yeah, let's just drag this shit out. Pardon my French. He says the dogs that were sniffing the incoming mail just happened to be, you almost made it out. And he said, oh, what a thoughtful thing to do for your wife. I said, well, hey, right? So I end up taking the whole beef for the whole thing because I wanted Ash or Dave to and Ashland was always my stop. Things out of order or broke. You can't make this up. Like I said, things out of order broke. And that Ashland stop, 7 Feathers, and then that was it. Maybe Ashland. If I ended up getting the burritos at 7 Feathers, which usually I was fasting on the way because I needed to stay in tune with me heavenly creator so I could navigate creation in its entirety. Become what? So I take the beef, tell him it's all mine. What wasn't all mine? It was his too. It was Dave's too. He was selling on the side and stuff. But he wasn't using because he'd get UAs and stuff, which is the best thing. If you're going to use stuff and you were smart, you wouldn't use. You wouldn't, because they would UA and nip you up. And then that would stop up his conjugal visits. And, he'd be a fool to do that, right? Because that's your union with your heavenly gift through your earthly spouse, an eternal oneness. Sacred it is. That's why that just blew my socks off. That was amazing. Whew. Oof, boy, amazing. Just the way, but uh, March, my birthday, will be our birthday. Either way, win, lose, or draw. Um, so I get back. They're about ready to haul me off. I did give you a little bit of time. They're hauling me off to the hole, which happened to be the fish tank where I think I mentioned this, where they haul you off the chain when you first get there. You go to the fish tank. That's where I seen Norm and Nancy Sullen, and they isolate those from so people aren't killing each other over them, right? Because this thing looks like a girl. Bless their heart, but I was pissed. Good thing I didn't know, because the guy would have probably kicked my ass back then, because that dude knew some shit. Pulled him right out of China as a baby, and then started that testing on him right away, and then this is what you got. So I'm that old death row. That's over. That's isolation. They let you out once an hour for that phone call, and walk that long haul, just like in Duluth. A long old dingy old, almost like Alcatraz, cold and dingy. But that's what you did just to get out of your cell, for some sort of, just a switch up. So I had been writing her letters almost every day, and my deal was I had an ongoing, like I said before, thank God I was brought back right to my remembrance. I had an ongoing little joke on how many times we could send the same stamp back and forth, because I would wash my stamps, just anything to get over on the system. And I would wash it so I would just soak it in soap, and the ink would lift right off. And a lot of times it didn't even mark it. When it goes through the whatchamacallit, the scanner at the post office, it gives a little code. Well, if it doesn't hit it, I just want to see how many times we can get that back and forth. She's like, no, and I said, come on, if we get busted. I said, okay, well, you got a good point. So here I am in isolation, and all my mail that I've been writing her every day, all of it comes back, just a pile of mail while I'm in isolation. And mind you, so my first time, I get, no, I didn't turn the heat on either. Doing a live stream, and I am light. What you seek is flame. I had to throw that in there. We said, kids, it just comes. So it was my first 24 hours in there, and I got my hour out, and there was no phone call. Now she had at this time she had moved in with Shirley, Ed Monroe's to be wife, who was holding little Donnie while we were visiting. She ended up letting her move in out of the shelter there in Walla Walla, which was a big Adventist college town, by the way. There it goes. I just caught it focusing in. So she's now moved in with Shirley, and I was talking to her every day, but I'd still write her letters. Well, I didn't get it. No phone call went through that day, but no big deal, whatever. Well, a couple of days went by, and I think I got 14 days for the tattoo gun, because now they'd found I forgot to add, they found the tattoo gun, blah blah blah, all the stuff that I took the beef for, so he could keep his conjugal visits, and only one piece. And plus, I was getting out anyway. I had a small sentence, and they didn't know how small, but it was small. And my closest friends knew. I did violate that rule, just because, like I said, it might, you wouldn't want. Yeah, this wouldn't be good. So, no phone call, and all my mail come back. My heart just sunk. Boom. I could feel there was a disturbance in the force. You know how when you feel, just like I felt that one of many, many instances I'm going to refer to, when that door opens, I'm going to have McDonald's. He goes, well, not today you are, Mr. Steen. You see that guy right there? Boom. And your heart just sinks. You physically feel that sinking, right? Well, I felt that feeling when I got all that mail back. I knew something was not right. Now, normally, it wouldn't really phase me, because I would just go pick up the phone and find out what was going on. Just like, you know what I'm saying, baby? So, and who gives a shit? I've given the number. It's 253-441-6171. Just call it. Who gives a shit if they're here? We'll just go from there. We got a hedge. We just need to do. You got to step out. I've seen you do it. It's got to do it. Either win, lose, or draw. I just confirm. That'll be good, and then we'll move forward. Because there's a few things, like I said, I got to button up, and I'm trying to get this tort claim going. Money's not going to be an issue. I'm letting you know that right now. But if that's the main reason, well, I'm the wrong guy. That's not no issue because it's not my God. A lot of people need to be helped right now because, you know, got a lot of dragon tails and shit. No toys for tots, though. So my heart sinks. I just know something is not right at all. Now days go on. I think I am doing. I'm literally. I'm. You got nothing but time, and there ain't nothing to occupy your mind, and you're not in tune with your heavenly Creator. It can really do some. You're your own worst enemy, baby. And people, that's it. You gotta cry out. You gotta be a good be a good host and hostess. Do that sweeping, that spiritual sweeping. He'll come. He'll dine with you, and you him. I and you and me. You become one. Days had went by, and I just knew. I knew it was increase, and I could feel the increase of evil, and I just thought it was maybe something around me, because I'm in death row. That's where they put you. You're in old death row. Do you know when I was there just this time, and I don't want to get off track, that those lights still flicker there? They don't even use that anymore. There's some evil shit that goes on. You can feel it. And people that don't think there's demonic forces, go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff they're posting. Look at what they're trying to brainwash you with. A lot of this music, it isn't getting to be at number one charts, which they don't even. That's all bullshit by popular vote. No, they're forcing that crap on you. Then you just become brainwashed, and then you start listening to it. Degenerates. They want to degrade your moral compass. Man, people. So, um, my heart. I'm beside myself. Days went by, and I actually remember saying, "God, please," you know. And I didn't know God. I had went to a couple of Adventist deals, which, like I said, I ended up later meeting in South Haven, Michigan. But I don't want to get Bangor, I think it was. Not too far ahead of myself. Just a few, just to see, what it was all about. I was led to go there. Many different denominations, and they still, to this day, they were there this last Christmas. The Adventists giving out $20 sacks of toiletries, like I said, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and all that beautiful thing. Saving people and their family money to take care of their family. A lot of them are innocent. but burdening you, the taxpayer, steak and lobster we had, and you get ramen. Well, enjoy it, because the tables have been turned. Huh? Oh, rockin' ramen. How do you think he's governor still? You got it. She's going to be restored to her original dominion. But I'm getting off track. I can do this shit all day. We can just go places, and we will. We're becoming that place you're fixing to go. And just like that Energizer Bunny, it just keeps going and going and going. Of course, it's just a perpetual, eternal revision. And it hates it. Oh, it hates it. Because it's that club like old Carlin. It's just not, it's not in that club. It's not part of this club and never will be. For those of you that have been bamboozled, come out of her. So here I am, completely just on top of all the evil demonic infiltration and just even just the people next to me that are doing their time in the hole that are just, oh gosh. And you can, like I said, you can hear and see everything. I mean, not see everything. That was with Celly-Vision, and I mistakenly said that for a reason, because I was starting to go into that part of that the chapter of that story, which I shouldn't hear. In this particular, you could hear everything because there was bars and just they carpet bomb you, but you couldn't see anything because it was just a brick wall and then a frosted little panes with that wire in it. They didn't want you to get any sunlight. So I'm sure I said, God, please. And there was even a couple days when I didn't even come out. They asked me if I wanted my hour out, and I said, no, I don't need my hour out. I'll just shower right in this damn cell. I'll do my push. I'll do whatever right here. I don't need to come out. Why do I need to go out and fucking hear that? Excuse my language. Have that my phone call not be accepted. My baby's out there. I haven't even got a chance to hold him yet because the paperwork isn't, and here I am screwing stuff up because I just wanted to help her out. And here I am. The consequences of my actions are, they can be lasting from generation to generation. When it said third and fourth generation, it's not the sins that we get forgiven for. It's the consequences of those actions. Just like my grandma, the fat and all that shit out of greed and cancer. Well, hey, hello. Wake up. So this day the guard comes by and he says, Steen, we want your, and the hours change because everybody, they let people out at different times because they might, maybe one person's family members. So they try to accommodate, but because I didn't care and I knew, in the back of my mind, nobody was going to answer anyway. Something was going on. It didn't matter when I got, so I said it didn't matter, but do you want your hour out? Either yes or no, which then that way they could fill in this. So this day I said, yes, I do. Now, I don't know what time it is because I don't see it. There's no clock. But I can kind of tell by just what little light we do get and how the sun is moving where I am geographically, at least in my mind, I know. And so my turn comes and I hear the door click. You can hear it. It's set. You can hear it where the lock, and it's about ready to slide open. And my heart just started pounding because something told me something that was going to be different this day. And I got through those bars, man. I had to get to that phone, and there was just one little payphone right there at the end, right by the showers is where you would also take your shower. But I just bird bath it because you had your toilet and your all one thing. The sink would run into the toilet, which is how we flooded stuff when you wanted a good thorough ass kicking, right from the guards when you were bored and had nothing else to do. And you had no other good time to lose. So, I call. After, of course, I read all the mail over again. I just tortured myself. All that return to sender. That's why I said, oh, here we go. I didn't even plan this. I'm just a messenger passing mail, baby. If you don't like what you get, return to sender. Oh, this mail was returned. It had that finger. That fuck you finger. See, I didn't get any of that. That's why I just continue to do what I'm doing. I didn't get any of that. But till March 20th, you can't blame me. So all this, reading it, oh God, what's going on? So I call. Hello, it's her. I hear it's Glex. Is your call? Okay, well, this is going to be recorded. It's going through the whole thing. Somebody just accepted. I can't believe it. I'm about to have a small, if I didn't know any better, a heart attack. Whew. Talk about crash into me. That's one from a distance. When that can happen, unless I'm mistaken, Nelly, that's amazing. That in itself is that'll stymie you, and you won't even be called. See. And if not, well, we'll work that out. Win, lose, or draw. She goes, hello. I said, Tammy. Donnie. I said, baby. What? She goes, oh God. She said you didn't want me no more. Everybody was saying and this and that, and that's why you haven't called me. I said, I haven't called you because I got busted for the joint that I sent you in the mail that you obviously didn't receive. I said, I got all the return. I got all my, you didn't write me. You didn't do nothing. I said, baby, I got all your mail back. She goes, well, hey, Shirley had that key. The intent and motive is key, and was getting all the mail and then waited until it piled up and sent it all back so it could mentally, psychologically slam me. Because Ed was telling her what was going on. See, they were then trying to play her, at least the Shirley was, to get her to leave Donnie with her, and she almost did. Got right into her head. This is how you got to be so careful, people. You don't leave your children with anybody unless the Lord leads you to. Oh, just leave him with me. She was going to have me leave him with. I said, what? Well, yeah. Can you imagine what she was thinking? No letters, as far as she was concerned. No phone calls, because she did something, somehow, some way, she did something where she was able to keep her from the phone. So no phone calls. And this particular day, she was at the doctor's, exactly what she said. So I think they had actually even, she said that they talked her into not accepting some. They asked her to not accept some and asked her to do the act of doing it, which she said when she did that, she actually felt the guilt, and somehow, some way, they were able to use her, just like that poor bastard they introduced to the train, and the guy in uh, uh, um, walking on Memphis, walking with my, that, yeah, and made her do the act. And so I couldn't get on her, because now, looking back now, I understand exactly. They had her participate in her own, just like a lot. I know some people that have been taken to underground bases. Yes, that's right. Paid for their own mental basic lobotomy so they could be picked apart, set back out into society, and then, like a roach that's been affected, go to other drug dealers when this supply that they were offered thinking it was a blessing is no longer can supply them. Talk about a deal too good to be true. And they go to taverns and lounges and they get them all the time. Got to be careful. I'll tell you some stories about what they do to people, and you'll be surprised. You'll pay thinking you're going to get dope one time, and you're actually, and 2 months later, you surface like a mole. You don't even know how. You just, all of a sudden, your hair's longer, and your family's like, where the hell have you been? We thought you were out on one of your drug excursions, but you've never not called us. Look at you. What's going on? And then them tell you things about what happened and say, and confide in you and say, Donnie or Roy, however they're addressing you, however, whatever time frame they may have known you within, and say, look, I'm not lying to you. And I go, hey, brother, I believe you. Today, I believe what you're saying. And you pay for your own so that they can go and so they can get rid of them. It used to be if you were up more than an hour past midnight 3 days in a row, they would have a warrant for your house. Now you get caught with a bag of dope you can get for next to nothing. Need nothing happening? Huh? Why were they? I got some stuff to share with you. They will use anything. When the Mexicans stop buying dope from them, figure out we can just buy it from the Colombians ourselves. Vato. Then we got to start doing something with these Mexicans. See what I'm saying? Oh, they go in and out and up and down and all around. It's you. But again, so she's here. She says, "I'm sorry." So something told me to answer this phone call. I said, "Well, yeah, I didn't tell her, but God, I actually said a little prayer. God, please." So I actually had to have Billy, my mother, go down. I called her and I said, "Listen, if there's any, I know you're working for Boeing and that's your God and that money and all this and that." I didn't say that to her, but that's what I was thinking. Not really, because I didn't know enough about God yet to even know that's what was taking place in her little demonic, twisted life. But um, so uh, she did. She come down. She got her and little Donnie on a bus and off to back to Ely, Minnesota with my Finlanders. Oh, my Finns. Love my beloved Finns. They were so trustworthy. I've never ripped anybody. They all left their doors open. Ely, Minnesota was amazing back then. Really, really was. It still lives very passionately in my heart. I used to that time up at that lake. I used to hike up there all the time. Those people were so nice, letting me park my car, and their dogs would follow me up, kind of keep the bears at bay. Because those blueberries, man, I didn't even stop and pick any, and they smelled good. But I knew better. I listened to what they said. I got to that DNR canoe, beautiful hike, crystal clear water. Oh man, dude, I was just. Matter of fact, I took one of my friends up there, Tiny. She was the local newspaper lady. And they ended up taking all three of her kids. There's nothing going on between her and I. We were just good friends. She loved to fish. She reminded me of my dad, Fred. Old Fred Rogers. And I took her up there. Matter of fact, I asked him, "Hey, is it all right if I bring a friend of mine?" Sure, because she would bring me to her little honey holes. No offense, baby, but and God, that's amazing. A lot of people on the shore were using chubs, like shiners and stuff, but I like them artificial ones. And when they're cracking on artificials, I just, I like to be active in my fishing. I'm learning to be patient, but just slaying them with a Rapala, big, huge northern pike. And her and I, we dumped that canoe up there on that lake, that DNR canoe. Like I said, they would go up and they would kind of monitor the I'm sure the erosion and just whatever the biologist, whatever the DNR did up there. Well, it wasn't what we did. They had us doing all the backbreaking work, right? Of course, we didn't get paid like we should have. If you're gonna employ somebody that even if they're doing time, at least give them minimum wage according to the state's minimum wage, so they at least have it. But okay, that's getting off track again. So yeah, um, Off to Ely, Minnesota she went with the baby. I'm getting out. I end up getting out, and there's a big buzz between the natives and but not, it's just there was nothing worth having a racial riot over. And even back then the lifers, and they called them skins, um, and there were different little clubs back then that they had to go through certain channels, just like the demons have to go through. That's why they go to and fro, not just to and fro. Here there's that first level, and they can't access. That's why there's going to be a new heaven and new earth. See, they have to ask permission, you see, and they're the ones that do all the tempting, but not none of the testing is where you is where you exercise your faith, and you gain your blessings, and you start to really see miracles manifest. Just beautiful things, salvaging souls for our King Restorator. So she goes back to Minnesota. I get out. I end up getting $100. Usually it's $40 gate money, like I got the first time I got out. And did I mention what happened when I first got out? I think I did, about me thinking, because it was April Fool's Day and I didn't think I was getting out. And then I laced my boots up so tight that my feet were throbbing. And I woke up with them throbbing. I thought, God, it's late at night, because I didn't want anybody to know when I was leaving, except my real close friends. And woke up and I had to unlace my boots because they were new. I hadn't broke them in. I was saving them for the day I got out, released anyway. And I unlaced and thought, yeah, I knew it was a joke. Nothing. I don't deserve anything good. I was just. They had me so. That's why I was a perpetual fucking self-sabotager. Self-worth people. They know what they're doing. Satan knows, but he's got to get permission, like I said. So remember that. That's where I was going with that. So, um, I get out. I get $100 gate money instead of 40 because I'm leaving. I'm going out of state, back to Ely, and I have a layover in the Tri-Cities. And it wasn't even 5 minutes, man. I had already met a guy at a tavern, and he's like, "Man, dude, you just got out of prison." I'm like, "How can you tell?" I kind of got offended. He goes, "Bullshit! Look at you. You're kind of buffed up, and it's the way you're dressed. It's those clothes, man. Those clothes are worth a few bucks." And I said, "What?" I didn't find out really later on until at the old Ridgeway, Gary's clothes. Can you imagine? Jeez. And I guess they were going off the charts. It was right around Halloween, and then somebody told them, "Pull that shit." So him and I had a beer. He takes me out to lunch. I have a layover. I had to go back to Tri Cities to end up heading back over the mountain to Minnesota. He takes me out to lunch. Actually, went to Kentucky Fried nasty ass chicken, which I kind of, before my life seemed to go to hell in a handbasket. We would get that every Sunday night, and of course the Sunday night lineup with all my programs and all that. And of course, we didn't know about Disney back then. A lot of you fools did, but we didn't. We'd have that Kentucky Fried Chicken. So he took me there. It was all you can eat. I was happy. We smoked a bowl. He scored me like a lid of weed. So I was already back off to the races. Didn't even give myself, even a smidgen of a chance. So I end up getting to Duluth. The bus takes me to Duluth. Now I'm still a couple hours away from Ely. And nobody's there at the bus to pick me up. And I call, and she says, "I can't find a ride." And I'm thinking, are you serious? You can't find me a ride? I've been in prison. Oh, and there's something I want to add too. While I was in prison, and this is again, as the Lord brought this to my remembrance, be cautious on who you have, watch your children. Her sister, Georgina, which I haven't had, but I just need to just say it. I asked Tammy, I had this feeling when she had already made it back to Minnesota to her mom's of 527 East Sheridan. I said, listen, please don't leave Donnie with your sister. Now, I'd never met her sister, Georgina. I'd never met her. They call her Georgia. Had never met her. But I did not get a good feeling when she told me that she had left Donnie with her. Um, it didn't sit right with me at all. I didn't know why then. I definitely know why now. So I said, please don't leave her. And she was telling me, well, I'm about ready to go out with some of my friends. And some of the same friends I met, you know, Pete, big, tall, Aboriginal Pete. He's the one that introduced me to my DNR honey hole up there. God, it was so beautiful there. When you could see down so far that it almost spooks you out. I mean, you see the rock, the island, the little island. It wasn't a real big lake, but just roll off into the clear green abyss. It can kind of, and no one's around, and the dogs are swimming out because you don't want them in the canoe, and they're out there, and you see them as clear as it's beautiful, but it's also just it can be really kind of eerie in a way if you don't really know what what you're becoming. So she's going out with Pete and all them, and I know who she's going out with. So I know in my mind, but I'm thinking to myself, don't leave. Something I just didn't want her leaving Donnie. They were going to the carnival, is what it was in Virginia. The same place I would have been housed for that DUI had that warrant not popped up, which should have popped up a long time ago. But the good our heavenly Creator Yahweh. So where was it? I'll get it in a minute. So I'm in Duluth. No ride, or no. I'm in prison. Then I'll get back to Duluth with no ride to bring you kind of up to speed about what's going on. While Donnie's now back as a toddler just months old, and she's going to the carnival. Something didn't sit right. Well, I call later, and she says, you're going to be really angry with me. And I says, why? Well, it's Donnie. I said, what about Donnie? My heart sunk. So, well, he got burnt. So he got burnt? What do you mean he got burnt? Well, she said it was an accident. Who said what was an accident? I said, Georgia? And I said, I asked you not to leave Donnie with her. Tammy, what happened? Well, those, and so I'm going to explain to you, those fingernail files that our beloved 9-inch nail lioness clean their underneath their nails, with the little hook, and then it kind of goes up and kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of fantails just a little bit with the file. Well, apparently Georgina was lighting it with her cigarette lighter, and Donnie was in his walker, and the heat traveled, it got hot, and she dropped it, and it landed on his little forearm right here. Except the burn that scar that he'd had for years, you could see the perfect, like he'd been branded. Old Brandy and Shannon at it again. Mine's conscience seared as with a hot iron. You're either going to be sealed or marked. So, pardon me, just real quick. I'm going to shut this shade. It's getting in. No, I'm not like a vampire if I see my own reflection. So she burned him. Pardon me. She burnt my baby. She burned him. She had been messed up in her head. Child molested, raped, probably. Family member, who knows, maybe her dad or something. Something terrible happened to her. Kind of like what happened to Billy. She won't say, but something, because you just don't do things like that to your children, you know. I mean, I'd never do that to another child, period. And I understand that doesn't always follow suit, but there's got to be an answer behind, please give me something for this conduct. This heinous, this poor little baby. He was like 3 months old, maybe. So I lost it. I was so angry. So anyway, nobody's there to pick me up. Of course, George, he's not there when I get there. So I'm a good probably 100 or so miles away. I don't know exactly how far it is. You could Google it if it's important. So I even think I asked Tammy, there's nobody to pick me up? Tiny, Lufella. I think her name is Lufella. Tiny or nobody? Well, no, everybody's busy. They're gone or whatever. And your bus came in late, whatever it was. I'm there and I'm on my own. She's, not that big of a deal, but, brand new boots on, man. And I'm in for a Moses journey. So I called the pastor or something. He gave us a ride when we came up from Texas. And no, I've tried all that. So anyway, I'm heading up the road. I walk up this big old, because, Duluth, hills like Seattle, like sleepless in Seattle. What an amazing bath that was. Boy, the Lord drew me like the willing soul. I'm hitchhiking, and this young feller picks me up. And he says he's heading to somewhere just isn't very far. It's like maybe 30 miles. And that's where he's gonna have to let me off there, because he asked me where I was going, of course, and I told him Ely, and he goes, "Oh, a nice place up there." I go, "Yeah." We started doing some small talk. He goes, "Well, I'm going to do some yard work," he said, for his parents. He said, I didn't really understand why he was telling me this, but he said, "Well, I'm doing some yard work for my parents that are elderly," and he says, "So I'm going to let you off up here, but it'll get you closer." And I said, "Hey, man, no problem," which it did. It got me closer, and I was happy that I wasn't walking really that far, just up a steep hill, just enough to get my appreciators nice and, just like old Sir used to say, make sure you get your reading glasses on, right? Well, what good is reading if I can't spell? Well, we read fluent typo. So, I love you, baby. So he says, "So I'm going to let you off there." I said, "Hey, that's cool. No problem." So he starts asking me a little about myself, almost a little too much. But something invited me to tell this guy where I just come from, which I don't know. He's, the other people in Washington can see a Washington prison attire, but maybe he didn't, because considering we're in Minnesota and the Ojibwe and Chippewa. Awesome wild rice. Just delicious wild rice. How they would just take a reed and bend it over in the canoes as they were slowly just sliding through the wild grain rice, because they're in the water, and just whack, and then they would just fall off into the canoe. You imagine? Here I'm tipping over, hooking a huge northern pike, and they've got these things just loaded with rice. It's amazing. Beautiful people. So he's asking me, I'm telling him my story, and I'm not holding anything back. I'm not trying to be, I'm just letting him rip. And we started getting to the spot where he was gonna, and I seen it was coming up close on the sign. And he says, you know something? Of course, there's no cell phones or nothing back then, but he says, you know something? He says, I'm going to give you a ride all the way to Ely. I go, oh, no, no. Of course, here's that leaving when dinner started mysteriously becoming earlier and earlier for these friends that I was running away from a nice, nourishing meal and this loving family that wanted to love and help this little boy as much as they could, even though he was awarded to the state and didn't understand why he was running away, right? Don't, if somebody offers you something and you got, if it's a self-worth issue, you might be helping each other out by accepting it. Don't ever mess up someone else's blessing, and don't let the enemy keep you from accepting, and then just pay it forward, for the lack of a better term. He says, I'm led to give you a ride the whole way. And I, oh, no, you don't have to do it. No, no, that's okay. No, you need to. He said, no, no, I can do this tomorrow. He goes, I really want to. I need to. Matter of fact, he kind of almost creeped me out. He said, no, I need to give you a ride. This is going to come into play later on. I just realized it because somebody said that exact same thing to me. I remember the cadence. I remember the tone. That same string. It's that same string. It's part of that loom, that blending, that weaving. So he gives me a ride the whole way. He wants to know more about my life, so I'm telling him. He pulls up to 527 East Sheridan, and I get out and I tell him, listen, wait here. I'm going to get you some money. Oh, no, no, no. I can't accept that, he said. I go, oh, no, you need to. And he didn't want to at all, but he knew that I needed him to, so he said, okay. Reluctantly, I ran in there. I opened the door. Of course, all the doors in Ealing are unlocked. Hopefully, they won't be now until we restore to original dominion, because now that's where all the weirdos are going to probably go check the unlocked doors. My Finland fine feathered brethren and sistren. So I open the door and I say, hey man, you got 20? Yeah, I got $20. And I see my baby. He's looking at me. I hadn't got to hold him yet. I only got to see him one time because before Billy got him onto a bus and off to Ely, they made an exceptional visit where I had to go in handcuffs. Of course, I had to see him through glass, and I was handcuffed. But they let me at least look at him. But I got to there he was, just waiting, with his little hand on his little playpen. This old scar there, shining bright like old Rudolph. Already taking one for the team, the boy. Mm-hmm. So, I give him $20, and he takes off, and it's not long, and things kind of go back to stinking thinking, and I end up befriending this guy named Tom Harper from Harper's Bazaar. Owned a bunch of houses in town. Nobody really cared too much for him. He kind of reminded me of Merlin, that long white hair. Lived in a big, beautiful house, and took a shine to me, and had me do some work. There was some legit work around town there on some of his houses and different things. And Betty, Tammy's mom, was dating Carl, which happened to be Tiny Luthella, Luwinda, or whatever name, Luthella, I think it is. Her ex, and they lost the children because of he's molesting them, from what I found out later. Well, I didn't like that. And I ended up doing something I wasn't so very proud of while drinking one day, and he was over there what we were taking because he was also would also work for Tom on some of his houses that he owned. Pardon me. Yeah, I snapped on him one day. He thought he was going to talk crazy to me, which today I might let it happen because the Lord would have me do that. But I wasn't as refined. So I ended up having to move out of town. I was on probation, and my probation officer said, "All right, just move." She didn't. They weren't trying to, you know. So we ended up moving to South Haven, Michigan, where Tammy was born, and we actually ended up. And she has family in Bangor. Like I said, that's where I was slaying those huge. I think they were kings, Atlantic kings. I believe. Anyway, they were coming up that lake. This tiny little creek, but I knew they were in there. I knew they were in there, and sure enough, and my son, you know, he was just starting to learn how to walk, and I'd hear him get in the trash, and I'm flaying out a fish or something, and "What are you doing, garbage?" I said, "That's right, that's the garbage. Now stay out of it." And he'd stay out of it, you know. And that's the time I told you I'd lift him, I'd set him up, and I'd take a few steps back, and he'd take a few steps forward and hobble and fall over and look at me like, "Are you going to pick me?" And I'd pick him up and set him up, take a few. And I'd turn around for a minute. All of a sudden, I'd hear the garbage candles. And I'm like, "What are you doing in here? Garbage." He'd look at me like, "Look, I'm in the garbage." And he wanted that fish. That fish was in there because Daddy was cleaning that fish. And I'd say, "You damn right. That is the garbage. Now, would you stay out of it?" And he would. It was funny, that little boy. So what ended up happening there, I ended up going to Kalamazoo, I started doing dirt, and here's what's really crazy is that I ended up meeting somebody from an Adventist church that knew the pastor that would come to Walla Walla, of all places, all the way over in Walla Walla. I'm in South Haven, Michigan, and they called to confirm who I was, that I had went to a couple set. Yeah, I know Roy, not very well, or Mr. Steen, not very well, blah blah blah, this and that, but enough to where they were going to allow me into their house, and they held on to some money for Tammy and I until we saved up enough to rent a place, which happened to be a seasonal place on a resort there on the lake in South Haven. And then when the season, they were mobile home trailers, and they would use them, and they were just loaded with bunk beds, and they would use them for tourists who would come in and want to play for a week or two, and then not have to spend a bunch of money on a motel or whatever. It was kind of a neat idea, and then they would rent them out to the people that the residents, the transient, as it were, in my case at this time. And I found it fascinating that you could get 10 cents for a bottle or a can there, as you could in Portland if you were to take a truckload down to Portland. You'd make quite a little nice little kitty there. But I would go to all the cemeteries in town, and I don't know why, but there was quite a few of them. But I would go, and there was a lot of beer bottles and stuff. People, I guess they drank a lot, but I would pick them all out, and I'd make quite a little bit of money doing that. And so I did that for a while, but it didn't last. And I ended up trying to grow some of the Mexican dirt weed that they had there. They didn't really have any indoor, as they would call it, indo. And I was, of course, smoking weed still. And I decided I was going to grow some weed, but I had no idea how to grow weed at all. Not even the first thing about it. But I said, "I'm tired of buying this weed. Now we're in our place." It's a 3-bedroom, I believe, too. It was a 3-bedroom. And I ended up getting all the bunk beds in one. But we'd sleep out in the living room on the hide bed there because it was a pretty big mobile. We didn't need all of it. I moved a bunch of in the biggest room, I moved a bunch of the bunk beds off to the side, and I screwed in a show and grow light from Walmart. And I was fixing to grow me some weed. Had my own little place here. I'm going to grow me some weed and take those seeds that I had to pick out, stems and seeds that we don't need. Acapulco Gold is, right? Like I told you about that old, and I'm not glorifying this, but that old opiated elephantine between 84 and 86 or whatever. Oh, man. Well, anyway, um, so, thing of the past, of course. So where was it? Because I see I got off track unnecessarily, and that one, I tripped myself up. So here I am. I'm growing weed. Thank you, Lord. And I decide I put all them nasty little seeds I normally would just throw away. I germinate them. Now Tammy and I get into an argument. And the cops end up coming. Doors open. They just walk in, and one of them just happens to they're just walking around. You know how it goes. You got to turn one thing in there, looking for something. Well, we just fill him up, and the judge will just do his job. Anyway, hey, what do we have back here? So, what do you mean, what do we have back here, man? What are you doing back there? Oh, looks like we have a. I said, what? Those are some bean sprouts back there. That's what they were, too, because, like I said, did not know the first thing I had this light way too far away. Pun intended, didn't even mean that. So because it was so far away, these plants weren't getting the nutrient and spectrums that they needed on top of just nutrients, which you don't want to nutrify or overfeed your seedlings anyway, but I don't want to get off track. So they were lanky, reaching for the light, stretching, as it were. That's why you don't want to stretch. It'll come. March 20th, right? Or before, baby. Before, preferably. Like I said, I'm trying to get some ducats together, and then it's gonna flow. They're trying to stop us because there's so much money and souls. So much is gonna happen. I've seen it in this vision, and oh boy, I got so much to share with you. But I have to be cautious also. So they're taking me to jail now. Not for no domestic stuff. No, they don't need it for now, no, because there was no domestic deal. But now there's a felony going on. I'm laughing at them as I'm heading to jail, and I'm thinking, you guys are out of your minds. There's probably no THC in them damn things. Now, these were bean sprouts. They were looking back now. They were. They said, oh, it don't matter, Mr. Steen, and you're a felon. Ooh, look what we have here, boys. And that's what they said. Oh, look what we have here. Oh, they were going to go home and give it to her good tonight. Or, lunatic friend, whatever, they're not going to let it kill the laughter. Oh, you're in. What do you mean, zero tolerance? Well, if you have one seat or a truckload, it's the same here, Mr. Steen. Huh? Yeah, just like that stupid commercial. He's standing in line, that little short lady with the glasses. So I go to jail with a felony. Now, my probation isn't even fully transferred yet. I just get there. I'm not there long. And my probation, from my lovely probation officer, who's all for me leaving Ely now, wink, wink, hint, hint, bye-bye, bon voyage, don't call us, we'll call you, we're going to transfer your stuff. Great. She now gets a call. I'm being, so now there's a whole probation hold. Now there's a probation hold. It's still in mid-swing, so now there's a whole nother ball of wax that the dragon is digging up out of his ear to snowball on me. So I ended up going to jail, and it kind of reminded me of being down there in damn Athens, man. It was just a bunch of black people. Nicest people you'd ever met. Sure, if a couple of them were real creepy down deep down inside, not anybody you want to have watch your children, you know. But they had these army cots before my dad passed, and I still have had a hard time grieving that one. But that's part of the tort claim also. I'd have gave him a good burial. But it's all right. It just so happened my imprisonment was for us. So these army cots, you slept, at least it was off the ground. And they had a payphone in the cell. They take me down to meet with the persecutor. You know, she's got stones, and my attorney, they got stones, and they're about ready to start throwing stones while they themselves live in glass houses. And tell me, oh, I'm in big trouble and I just got out of prison. And I just said, listen, here's the deal. I did just get out of prison. You're right. And I came here with my family, and I'm not going to spare you the details of my life because you've made a decision about who I am or who you think I am. So here's the deal. I don't want to hear any of your guys' shit. It's not one of these insurance commercials with the guy upside down in his vehicle and the adjuster saying, can you hold the pen in your teeth? I don't care. We're going to run this shit all the way to the gate. All the way. And while I'm in your jail, I'm going to insinuate everybody go to trial. We're going to do some old scrappy stuff. So, because if I'm going anyway, I'm going to go till the wheels fall off over some stupid shit like bean sprouts. Now you piss me off. I don't want to hear shit you have to say. So they leave the room. They come back, just kind of like the Matthew Rosenberg, who was his brother was from L.A. was Eminem's attorney, the way I understand it. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Who also defended me. So they come back and they said, kind of like this. Here's the deal, Mr. Steen. We're going to let you out today. You're going to leave. You're going to sign this piece of paper here. And if you come back to our state, we're going to bring these charges back up. And I said, shit, give me the pen. Right? And I was gone. I was out. I was on my ex-wife's, at that time she was still my cousin's porch, curled up, freezing my butt off. And because I was heading back. I was already the damn, back then I didn't really have much forgiveness, tolerance for any kind of police calling type stuff. It was just, no. Unless you're dying or something. I got stories to tell you about what happens when you dial that number. And of course, people, they can't defend themselves. And so we'll just go ahead and just leave that right there for now. And bless their heart. Because, so, because I'm going to tell you a lot of beautiful miracles about that family member that are, but if it were possible. So, here, let's see, where were we? So there. That's right. I end up getting some money wired. And because of that counselor, I got to go back a little, in Walla Walla, and one of her reports, I was able to sign up for disability. She says, you don't belong here. She goes, I want to help you get some assistance so you can at least get a little help when you get out. Bless that lady's heart. Counselor. I said, oh no, I've seen a lot of people. I've been here a long time. She says, she goes, you don't belong here. She helped me. I was for post-traumatic stress. She helped me get on disability, which, I don't need it now. Praise the good Lord. And it didn't take medication to do it. And your little risperidol and all your little shit and freak medication. Things out of order are broke, people. Spiritual sweeping. It's amazing what's taking place. So anyway, um, so I'm in the process of doing that. There's a reason I said that. In the process of that's getting going. But the financial thing on that, I'm still in, because when I was in Ely, I went and got signed up. Now I'm in Michigan. I'm heading back. So that's why I brought this up. Thank you, Father. I told my mom, look, man, I need to get out of here. I just got out of jail. God, are you serious? And I didn't go see her when I went to see my baby. So she was like more inclined to send me money. I told her, look, I'm signed up for Social Security, so I'll get this retro check and I'll pay you back. I need to just get me out of here. So she wires me some money. It is oddly enough this DNR, or not DNR, but to this Western Union in the train depot in Bangor. Tiny little train, probably still there. Runs right through the center of town, but pretty close. Used to rattle the doors of the cousin that I was on the porch where I buy my weed. So they didn't have the money. I think she sent me like $800-900 or something like that. But she didn't have the money, the lady at the Western Union, to cash that kind of request. And I said, "Are you serious? You're a Western Union?" She goes, "Well, that's kind of dangerous to have that money around." I said, "Ma'am, you're a Western Union." She goes, "Well, let me go look in the DNR fund, and I think we might have it in there." And I said, "Well, you do that." She's looking around, making sure. I said, "Look, please, lady, I just want out of this town. Okay, the law wants me out, and I want out. Now my life has just been. So I get on this train, this Amtrak. I have a layover in uh, Detroit, or not Detroit, in Chicago, and we're in. I think it's Union Square. I think they call it, or something. Anyway, there's quite a layover. I think it's 4 to 6 hours. And my train ticket only cost me, I think it was, I don't know, a couple few $100. I think it was. It was even expensive back then, but back then, it was like what, 93? Oh yeah, it was 93 because my son was born 2293. So Groundhog Day. So nothing to see there. Um, you just can't make this stuff up. Like I said, you're being blessed and things are coming to your realization, and these miracles are manifesting, and you're going, "Oh my gosh, you're not picking this up, Roy." And I'm saying the same thing. You're not picking this up, Millie or Tori or whoever may be watching and counting. But the Lord is allowing us to blend, and where He's not keeping anything from us to be. Look what He's done with the lovemaking part. There's an order of things, so you know. But we do still have to step out of that boat. So we still got to step out on faith, by faith, for faith. And I'm in Chicago, 4 to 6 hour layover. I'm walking around the city, thinking to myself, wow, this is a big city. See this black man, he's panhandling outside a liquor store. I go in the liquor store. He's like, "Hey, man, you got any money?" I said, "Well, wait till I get up, come out at least, man." Shit, he's an old man. I could probably teach you a little something. At least wait till the fool comes out with some money. He's more apt to give you something then. So I go buy me a fifth of Canadian Mist, I think it was, whiskey. And I come out and I give the guy some change. And I asked him, "Hey, man, you know where I can get some crack, some coke?" He goes, "I sure do." He goes, "Come on, man, let's go." I says, "All right." So He says, you mind if I have a drink of that? I go, well, yeah, let's wait till we get around the corner. There's cops all over. And they were all over. And he's like, oh, man, those cops don't care about us. And he just started drinking. I said, what? So I took a little sip. Cops are looking at it. They just go back to what they're doing. I'm like, are you serious? Boy, this is crazy. This was almost like BYOB when I was in Abilene. I didn't know you could bring a bottle to a tavern and then get a set and have them bring you soda. That was the most craziest thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, are you serious? That would ruin Washington. So, um, we're drinking. I'm catching a buzz. We're on our way over the underneath these to this apartment, this projects, which I've never seen anything like it. They're just, it was like a tall, almost like a mild height skyscraper, no grass on the ground at all. Right by the, it happened to be this particular spot. People that know that area might know. Of course, there might be hundreds of areas exactly described that might fit this description. Bunch of overpasses or trains or something. Anyway, I didn't know, but they were up there. And then this tall, like big, huge apartment complex, projects, brick, no grass. It looked like nobody was around. Seriously. We started walking, and he's like, all right, man, so get ready. And I'm like, get ready for what? And all of a sudden, they just started coming out of the concrete. There was no woodwork. It was all concrete. They just started coming out of everywhere. Right in this window, he's all right, go ahead and handle your business. I thought, well, shit, I went to go give him my $20. He's like, oh, no, 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 you go handle your business. Well, these fools don't know me. I learned real quick. So I went and I handed the guy my $20. And he hands me a rock and a little tiny little blue, tiny little baggie, little Ziploc on it, little tiny little blue baggie with a with what I thought was my quarry, my $20 rock. So I went to turn to leave, and he goes, "Oh no, hey fool, you got a few more." And he was digging around some other color rocks. He had to get a few more blue ones. Well, I thought that was a 20. Back where I was from, I was all fixed. And this guy could have went along with it, which it might seem like I'm glorifying it, but there's stick with me for a minute. Just stick it out. So I turn around. He goes, "Oh no, no, you got more coming." I turn around. What? More coming? That's already a big old. Excuse my language. That's already a big old. That's a decent sized stone. And I turn around. He gives me three more. That was a $5 piece. That was the size of a good 20 at home. Again, I'm not glorifying this, but it was the honesty part that blew me away. So I go back, which the dude was only like 10 yards away. He was letting me go, He was like, wow, they didn't need no buffer zone or nothing, or what's up with that? I could have been a cop. Well, it probably wouldn't have fared too well if I was. But either way, they let me deal with my own stuff. And I learned something about people. Even though I kind of always knew that, the enemy brought that Coke in there to separate our love because of all that camaraderie and bonding and love making not in a perverse way, but the time that we would mourn silently together, holding it back and going through all this crap that we did, being abandoned by our own parents, and some people just having a hard time because they were acting out. We went through this together, and it's like I had become a part of something that I was also a part of once before, and I admired it. That's why we have to help our beloved brothers and sisters, all of them, except the ones that don't want to be helped. So I get my stuff. We go back to a playground not too far away, and there's nobody playing on the playground. We get into one of those little, the slides and the little, kind of like Astroland, which I'll go back and talk about that in a little bit. Because like I said, I got to fill in. It's a weaving, blending process about this Astroland right next to Mallard Lake, where Bobby, a lot of amazing things happened when I was a kid back then. A lot of weirdos walk in that park too. So we smoked that $20 worth of crack, which back home, it would have been a lot. And Well, I'm drinking the bottle, drinking the fifth is half gone about. I still got a couple few hours. And so I asked him, here, man, want to go get another 100? And he's like, well, here, go ahead and go run around. You just, they'll deal with you. And I'll just hang out here and I'll drink and I'm like, well, I was stuck. I was stuck. Even though I was a little drunk, I was stuck and I didn't want to go there. I wanted to make it out alive. But I still hadn't quite grasped it. But it didn't help that I was on a coke induced paranoia trip. Things out of order, broke. So I said, no, here, why don't you go get it? And then I think he kind of knew. He goes, okay, all right, I'll be right back. So a little time goes by, and I'm drinking and taking a couple little hits of whatever I had, maybe crumbs of whatever I had left. And time goes by, and I think, well, he got me. That happens. It was just a matter of time. That's. Usually I had to run people down with my car, they're putting their hands in the window. Well, hey, check it out. I'm knocking it. I mean, or taking the handle off the car door so they can't get out and robbing a few myself. Sad, but that's how twisted people get when you get, and when we start to turn against each other. It's a sad thing. They know what they're doing. It's all by design. Even though we have free will, now we need to exercise. So here I am. Um, um, the Coke. I got sidetracked just for a second because my baby boy is starting to cry. I'll get on track in a second. So he leaves with my money, $100, and he doesn't come back right away. And I think, well, it's just, I still got a couple few $100 in my pocket, quite a few hundred, I think it was. And a matter of fact, I had already had a couple of them little shots on my way down. I think that's probably what kind of induced my psychosis. But so he ends up coming back. When I thought, well, it's just I'll go get some myself. He ran off with my mom. I'll get some myself, and then I'll have some for the train ride back. I'll go smoke in the bathroom. I think, as a matter of fact, yeah, you could smoke in the train back. And you could definitely smoke on the Greyhound back in the day when I took it from Sherman Brisky Boys Ranch. You could smoke in the back seat. You had a few back. So, which is really, I thought was really crazy looking back now. You got a tiny little bus, and they got non-smoking, just 6 inches away. Crazy. But so he comes back, and he's this guy, his hand's bigger than mine, but he's got them both open. And I went to go put my hand. He goes, no, both your little hands, put them out. So I put them out, and they just. I was like, oh my gosh. He goes, sorry, it took me so long. He goes, they were having to rock it up. You didn't want me to get with $100. You get way more. If you just spend a 20, he goes, you get way more. So they were already cooking it up, and I just added it to it. It's like 20 on it, but it's 100 on it, and so it took me a little more time. And I was like, are you serious, man? I couldn't believe how much he'd given me, and I'm not. But I don't think it didn't cross my mind about, oh my gosh, it's a little trip, bacon strip. It's bacon. So when I say it's bacon, I'm just saying it's not. It's not. It's bacon. I'm making a joke. Um, So then again, there solidified the whole thing. He comes back. I'm like, wow. So we smoked for a while. I still have, God, probably just, I don't know, at least a quarter, or not a quarter, probably a teener. I mean, a gram and 3/4 at least. And I head back to the bus. I think I buy another pint. He goes his way, I go my way, I go back. I end up smoking on the way back. I met either Depeche Mode or 11 Rockets. Well, one of the two was on that train. They had some rooms back there, and they invited me back there. One of the two. I forgot which one it was because I was pretty well inebriated. And when I got to Tacoma, and my mom with her new boyfriend, another Bill, like I said, she'd been married 9 times for sure that I know of, maybe 10. And I think I've forgotten a couple of their names, but I'm just in and out of her life too. So, it's just, I just get stuff as I kind of go along, but pick up things as I go, and you become aware of things. So, um, I'm going to cut this here a little short. Let's see, what time is it? It's 5:22. And I'm going to cut this a little short, although it's been going for a little while. 3 hours and 9 minutes, right on. Um, so this is why I'm gonna break these up into segments here as soon as I really get rocking and rolling, because we find rock salt out these shotguns for those about to rock. So anyway, I'll pick up where I left off when I get to Tacoma. The Tacoma aroma. Not only do they have, do they sell dog roca, baby, the almond roca factory in, which I'll never bring her up again, okay, unless the Lord leads me to, because I see you can get kind of jealous. It's cute in some ways, but I mean, I've been faithful all this time, and like I said, until I win, lose, or draw, and then Lord he'll I'm a man of my word. I haven't got this far. And like I said, if I was to use that in a bad way, I would never go back. But if I was, you know, the Lord says, those things that are worth having, they take it takes some time and some effort. So, most things that are free are too good to be true. Most things, not all things. I mean, if I still had, I used that contact printer that I got at Epperson's while in Reading, and then I'll go back before I wrap up about the because that's how the Lord does it, about Bethel and what I witnessed there while prophesied over by Jerry Reynolds, not to be confused with Lori Reynolds from Tudor River, from the Reynolds Empire, but a prophet that I met, probably an angel, in Reading, and some things that happened at Bethel Church. Um, so, yeah. So I'll do Bethel, and then I'll go back to Tacoma to the dog roca thing, and just wrap that up real quick, and then I'll the good Lord willing, I'll do a video tomorrow. So, let's see, Bethel. When I was led to go to Shasta County in the end of 06, 07, I ended up staying in a motel, just my son and I. One of many times my ex and I had separated. This kind of the theme with dysfunction, which just does nothing but harm the children, right? But I'm gonna get my shit together tomorrow, and then tomorrow turns into a day, and a day, a week, a year, a month, a year, and now we got 3 decades. So like I said, don't put off. So Bethel, we're kind of needing a little handout. We go to this church, Bethel, big church. They feed the homeless and the not so fortunate. Pretty good meals. Breakfast on sunny Sunday, the sun got wrong Sunday, the first day of the week. But bless their heart, they to the homeless. And it was more for just as a showboat kind of thing. But still, take it, take it, takes that which isn't, makes it as if it were, as if it are. Things I noticed in that church, I didn't even know why. The devil's always Satan, Lucifer, the dragon, is always trying to whisper and not only accuse her of the brother, not to and fro, and he has to get permission. These demonic forces. And I'm not going to go there, but I started to notice things. I didn't know why. I started to notice things. I started to kind of spiritually judge these people, their conduct, as it were. And some of these were demons. I'm certain of it, because I would never, the Lord. I don't think the Lord would allow me, especially in my um, infant stage of spiritual awareness, would be revealed that kind of authority, because it can be a dangerous thing. It can cut both ways. And so, um, but I started noticing things, and things weren't right. I didn't know what, and the devil was like, well, who are you? You uneducated mutt. But really, I'm not a mutt. I'm Irish, I'm Swedish, and Norwegian. That's what I am. Seamless. Some of the finest linen really cut from becoming the right person. But I started seeing things. He's like these three women that just right. The Lord just, and this is a big church. So after we would eat in the morning, we would go and we'd listen to the sermon, and they would have, I think, three or four. I'm not sure, because it was so big. It was different times, but they would feed the homeless or the needy early, and then that service, and then they would bus you back to Reading, and then we would go back to the motel where we were staying. So, but these three women, kind of like in one video, that I said, "Oh my God, that's those three women." The Lord said, "Oh yeah, son. Oh yeah, this is getting good." I said, "Oh gosh, this, thank you, Father." And he goes, "And that's, I continue to bless you, son, because you're so appreciative through all your suffering. That's why I've protected you. You're so valuable to me, and I want you to let them know how valuable they are. There's nothing they can do to us, Millie, unless you let them. Win, lose, or draw. Just, we have to at least meet, talk. One of the cam video or something, so we can just talk. And who gives? I'm not concerned. They can't do nothing to me. I own them in a righteous kind of way. So these three women, I could see these demons manifesting through these beautiful, young, beautiful women. They were almost, they were having intercourse. I'm serious. I seen it in Bethel Church. I seen this with my own eyes. I didn't understand why. And I said, "Oh no." And the Lord said, "Oh yes." And I said, "But no, this couldn't be." "Yes, son." He was preparing me for the news of the cancer, the 6 months, unless they carved me open. My grandma still died. My grandfather, Steen, he still died. I said, "No, son, I got something else for you. I'm gonna use you as an illustration what faith will do, and a little obedience. You're gonna have to fight, son. And at the same time, I'm blessing you. The enemy is gonna be cursing you, and you need to know this. And you're gonna be, without really no fault of your own, you're gonna be accepting this back into your life, time and time again, son. And it hurts me to see it happen, but it needs to take place." Pardon me for bumping the table. "So that you'll learn and recognize what you're seeing, so you can help those beloved that are being snared up daily by the very thing that is set out to destroy us." So, and I've protected you even from yourself. I used to pray over my kids, and I didn't even know why. "God, please protect them even from me," because I knew I wasn't a good parent. I wasn't a weirdo. I didn't diddle my kids or shit like that. But I wasn't a very good person to my children. I uprooted them. I ripped them away from any stability and any friends or any chance of any sort of bonding. There was going to be no wow for them, no wow factor. See, I didn't get that, and the enemy knew it, and he was going to capitalize on that in little Donnie Steen's life because he didn't want this conversation taking place. That's why. Because there's things that are going on right now in this day and age that you need to be aware of. And if it weren't for people like us rising up, he would have already come, and most of you would have been caught slipping. But because our heavenly creator, Yahweh, Abba, loves you so much, he said, okay. Because I'm there through you people, even though few you may be. Okay. All right. Okay. And so he'll take, you guys, remember what he did to the one that buried it? You silly fool! You never created no increase, no interest. You buried it? If you're given a talent and a gift, you better use it, man. Or Missy, you better use it. You better use it for good. And if you don't know what good is, I'll introduce you. And even though I mock that Luciferian papacy and its dark system and all its apostasy, it's like, reminds me of Gangs of New York. Papacy. Sun worshippers come to change times or think to change times and laws, and there it's chasing its tail, and people just don't see it. It's right there in Revelations. And the dragon became angry. See, woman could be used as, it's a double-edged sword. She sits on many waters. It's New York. It also means, people. When I say tongues and languages, I'm not just talking about heavenly angelic tongues. We're talking demonic stuff. You know what goes on in DC? I think I've kind of, they're doing things you wouldn't believe in that capital. Well, for the love of truth, look what they're in. And it's over her left shoulder, mocking people. Because it knows the time is short. It's over. You see, there are people that are imprisoned that are actually free. They're just waiting to be released. When there's people that are also imprisoned up here, and their body is being led like sheep to the slaughter. And you're paying for your own lobotomy. You're paying. And I'm going to tell you a story about that guy that they got in a tavern. They worked their way in. They got him. And he swore these guys looked like agents. I'm sure they were. Who are these? Don't say nothing. Oh, well, they had him completely brainwashed, but enough of his own free will because the story was laid down so right. And the way they presented it, the one guy, and with the dope and the quality, oh, they're slick. Took him on a little ride for 2 months that he only remembered part of it. And what he told me, he said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I said, oh, no, I don't. And then they set him. He's lucky he got out. Well, they had an agenda. They needed to find out where his dope dealers were. Not because they cared about you getting, your neighbor getting dope. No. No, they have an agenda. They're They're the agenda, right? Comes from China, people. No, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I don't want to get slapped up, like I said. I think I'm at 10. It's going to be 11, and then I want to at least get to the 12, 12th tribe, 12 doors, 12, 7 this and 7 that. So, yeah, some weird stuff. Didn't know what it was. And, but yeah, it's in our churches. Those buildings you call, we are the church, but they call them churches. It's mega churches. And it's where it's at. It's in churches, in the judicial system, the industrial complex of the military, all of it. It's all one big conglomerate. It's all the same thing. It's all, why do you think we have the same governor here right now? It's the same thing. Nobody wanted him. Sure, you have a few people that come up from California. Yeah, it's, give me the brand, I'll do it myself. No, it's all a big con job. See, they confuse, control to conquer you. That's why it's sad, but that's why I say, use it in only in emergency. You should pray to God, the Father and the Spirit will guide you. Huh? It's too bad, but that's why it wasn't so big. They didn't want fools locking and loading, but enough of a buzz to say, oh, to keep you from going out in the sun. They're trying to play games and mock you with the musical mind that it doesn't want you walking the streets of Memphis. Trying to petrify you. Oh, radiation, listen, come on, man. Oh yeah, they've got some device. They got some high tech stuff. It's this. They want to keep your mind so far out there. Of course, you're not smart enough to figure it out, so you need to trust the ones that've been lying to you the whole time. But you guys already know that. It's all just a big game. They're losing, but guess what? It's a club, and they're not in it. And they know that now. See, it's been turned completely around because of people like you. You've decided to go ahead and, oh, you want to exercise a little faith? You wrestle with God. He says, all right. Like I said, there's some things I have to tell you about our heavenly creator. Oh, yes. Omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. Oh, yeah. And as much as he is, was, and will always be that, he chooses not to know certain things. Like it or not, he's in the business about changing his mind over our condition, his character. His word doesn't change. Doesn't mean humanity won't change it and twist it or add stuff or take stuff away. Everything's being written down. He can intervene anytime. He has this, remember with Moses. So he said, okay. But just like that pillar of salt with Lot's wife, he loves us so much he wanted to give Moses what the desire of his heart to see him, but his divine nature we would have fried. So there's gotta be a buffer zone, just like that horsehair whip. The more people give their lives to Christ, the more the angels rejoice. And he says, okay. Because at the same time, people say, well, what about all the unnecessary that are suffering? That's becoming less at the same time. Because more and more people are waking up. It's going, oh my gosh, I think I'm involved in that. I better stop that. Even though I'm not directly involved, I am. What? What's that motive? Because you might intend to steal a candy bar, but your motive of operandi is driving the damn thing through the front door. And while you're there, well, shit, I'll just go ahead and grab the cash machine. Oh, it's story of my life. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. People, it's lost. Millie Weaver said it by faith. Do you think she really wanted to say all that stuff? I'm sure she didn't plan. She might have thought she planned some of it. I don't know. I'm just assuming. But to just, after all she's been through and everything that, all the injustice that's happened to her, and then, some things in her own personal life that, she's having to deal with at the same time with all this demonic stuff going on, that now she's starting to come to the realization. That's why I was led to go, grease that axle. Let it be written, so let it be done. If we reap what we sow, and again, win, lose, or draw, it's okay. Things change and people change, and again, you have to be the one to say, I'm seeing it. I actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. It's like me, like, I don't understand. Well, what about this? Gotta get, and almost kind of even come up with ways to just kind of separate myself from the reality of the task at hand. I'm trying to wash myself of this burden that I so much cried out for, because I was born and created in his image, as you also are becoming. It's right next to you. Some might say, oh, no, it's not. Well, like, you don't know that. You have no clue about someone's heart. So there's this demonic stuff, man. I've been seeing it. Didn't know. Who are you? You don't even know the first thing about the Bible. You don't even know any scripture verse. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing on what the Lord is doing, and all the things he revealed to me today, that all being written in the Lamb's book of life, in the book of recordings. That's why everything is going to be revealed. Nothing is hidden unless it's been covered in the blood. That's the lie right there. And the big deception. Oh yeah, oh wait, radiation. Oh, that's why they're trying to cover it up, because it gives you life, other things life that they're trying to starve you from. Because if they can feed you garbage, they can confuse, control, and conquer. Because it hates God, and it hates the fact that you were created in his beautiful eternal image. And he loves you so much that he wants you to want him. Right when I said that, I said, want you to want me. Did anybody else do that? Cheap. That was a cheap trick, wasn't it? That's going to leave a mark. And then I go to Mark. I can't make that stuff up. It's innocent, clean fun, people. And it just gets better. I'm watching him restore all that the locusts have eaten. Physically, even though my back, it aches. It's breaking down here and there. You got to keep up with like any other vehicle that has a lot of miles on it, right? It's like almost in some ways I'm just going backwards. Some people are like, dude, Donnie Steen? I'm like, yeah, so and so. Jeff Longland? That's a miracle story right there. That I could have wrote a whole book on just that alone, how I got Donnie. Oh, I can't wait to share that one with you, beloved. Oh, Cedar Rapids. And I cried out. The first time I really cried out. And the Lord knew I was at the end. And Satan knew I was at the end too. And he was like, oh yeah. So remember that. The same as the enemy's out to get you, as you cry out, don't think you're not alone. There's other people that are going through it too, but we're doing it together. And it's increasing. You can feel it. That's why those are the Catholics, bless their heart. But that's why the Pope, Oh, he would just have them destroy all of them. But there's faith in that he can use it. He can use it in his advantage too. Oh, they can't be all that bad. They don't believe in abortion. It's consider the agenda behind it to create a whole apostate face of the earth. So he has nothing to return to. And now, that's not happening quick enough. So we got to, a couple injections, love Trey Smith. Just love him. He's one of very few people. And I can't even do it to my beloved Millie because I get so, but he's one of few people. And just that last one, that Kim one, I was like, it's like I listen to it and I can hear something else. I get something else out of it. But it's just the way he's such a good storyteller. And the thing is I believe what he's, for the lack of a better term, selling. He believes in, he invites me, and it makes it easy to accept. He's feeding me what I know has been nourishing him and growing him because I've seen it. I've seen the growth. Just like Tori said. You can hear it. You'll see it. It's exciting, people. It's exciting. So, anyway, so I'll pick up pulling into stinky old Tacoma with the aroma. Might have been that stinky old almond roca factory. I think it's the wood pulp down there. We have a bunch of, I think that's where that funk comes from. Anyway, my baby isn't hollering anymore. He'd come back from daycare. They got him started a little early today, but his mommy is on a little leave of absence, and I'll fill you guys in on that quite a little bit later. All is well. So, all right, people. Well, again, I'm still learning the ins and outs of all this and how to communicate with you while I'm doing the stream. And I'll have days where if you guys want me to sing a song or do something, or just, if you want to clown me or something like that, or you just want to maybe just pass information, or, every day I seem to get something new, and the Lord's leading me to kind of jot things down. And I'm hopping around and kind of doing this because I got to go to the bathroom, guys, gals, my beloved. And so, yeah. I love you guys, and I really do love you guys. No, all Twinkie puffing aside. I love you. I love you, Melly. Love you, Tori. And again, oh, dang, come on, focus in. Are they green tonight? Oh yeah, no, they're brown. They're back kind of brownish goldish. But it kind of has an issue focusing a little bit. Anyway, so um, I hope to hear from you soon, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you, and God bless, and I love you guys, and stay prayed up. Bye-bye.